What is up? Welcome to the Fantasy Endgame. Welcome back to our loyal Endgame community. I'm Pierre. He's Chris. We're here as we have been all season long, and we'll continue to be up until the very end of the season to answer your start-sit questions. That's right. We're here to help you set winning lineups. We also are here with the videos that you probably have already seen. If not, you can check them out. We tell you who to like at each position. Got running back, start-sit, wide receiver, quarterback, tight end. Combined, we have trade suggestions, waiver wire pickups, everything you need, and of course, the immediate response on Sunday night, that panic video. Everyone loves the panic video, and we'll find out who to panic about this week. But first, let's talk about who you should be starting on Sunday. So before we get into the comments, because they're already coming in, and we're going to try to get to as many as we can. A couple of reminders here. If you're new to the show, we will answer as many as we can, but of course, it is not going to be possible to answer all the comments. So there's a couple things you can do to make sure your question gets answered. Number one, the super chat feature. You'll notice a lot of people using it, and that's because that's basically your fast pass. If you use the super chat feature, we guarantee that we answer that question, and that will be answered in order that they come in. So we might get bogged down for a little while. We will catch up. We will stay on until they are all answered. We're usually on for 3, if not more than 3 hours. All right. The other thing you can do is you can become a patron if you join us on patreon.com/fantasyfootballendgame. The link is down below. Well, patrons get their own start-sit show, which is just for the patrons. And that's Sunday morning, right before kickoff for 2 hours. We're on just with our patrons and talking not just lineup advice, but all that stuff I mentioned, trade, waiver wire, everything possible. And then we just also have some fun just chatting, talking about football and other things. And so you can join for the price of what it costs to do that super chat. Sometimes you can get a month full of all the content that we give. That includes weekly rankings, waiver wire breakdowns, and a whole lot more, including throughout the off season. So the other thing you can do is join the Discord, which is completely free. The link is also down below, I believe, and you can ask any of our people who are in the Discord already. That is coming up to, I think by the time the season ends, we're going to have 1,000 people maybe in the Discord. I'm not exaggerating. We're already at 800, I believe. It's crazy how much it's taken off, but we're always in there. And not just us, but our amazing community members. A lot of guys who are in there helping out just as much, if not more, than us. And you know what? Honestly, when I need to check what the latest NFL news is, I go to our Discord because somebody, usually either Chris or Nate or somebody has posted it first. So not exaggerating there either. And finally, if you like anything that we have to offer, the like button makes sense. You can subscribe and hit the notification bell that you'll know as soon as we go live, which we're on live multiple times a week throughout the season. We're going to be on live multiple times throughout the off season as well. We mock draft as soon as the Super Bowl is over. We're preparing for next season. That's just how we roll. I already see the super chats are coming in, so I don't want to delay, but let's do what we do, Chris, and let's talk about the injury news. It's kind of a mixed bag. We have a lot of big name players that are out this week, and then some players who are thankfully in. Let's start with the first big one that is out. I think it's only fair that we start with Leonard Fournette. I know I'm not going to call you a soothsayer or anything, but if there was somebody who was banging the drum for Rachaad White way before anybody else, it was you. So here's the thing I want to ask you, Chris, before we talk about how Rachaad White's going to go insane. What are the realistic expectations for Rachaad White this week?
I mean, I think the realistic expectations got to be 15 plus carries and 4 plus targets against a bottom 2 run defense. And I don't think that feels like his floor, right? Like that feels like his floor because, I know Gio Bernard is back from IR and Keyshawn Vaughn is there, but come on, we saw, in week 10 before the bye, even with Leonard Fournette playing over half the game, he got 22 carries in that game. So, I think I'm sure. Look, I put Rachaad on the thumbnail. I'm sure we're gonna get a ton of Rachaad questions, but not a lot of running backs. I'm starting over Rachaad White this week. That's for sure.
Yeah, and I want to prepare you also. I'm just looking just at the first few comments. I see Rachaad White's name already in 4 out of the first 5. So let's just be prepared for that. But again, guys, we've been talking about Rachaad White a lot. It doesn't mean he's going to be the RB1 necessarily this week. I mean, it's possible, but just let's not get carried away. And here's the other one that people will go crazy about. We've got a ton of questions in the Discord. Raheem Mostert also, I think, technically was doubtful. He's not going to play, though. And so Jeff Wilson against the Houston Texans. So people are asking, is Jeff Wilson going to run for 250 yards?
No, he's Jeff Wilson. Come on. Like, come on. Derrick Henry ran for 2 something. He got 35 carry. Like, he's still Jeff Wilson. He's still pretty much like a plotter. He's not a guy. He's not a home run hitter. But still, you got to love Jeff Wilson, too, this week in a smash spot with no Raheem Mostert. Yeah, got to feel good about Jeff Wilson as well.
So, I mean, yeah, definitely start Jeff Wilson, but I wouldn't bench, well, I guess it's too late for Saquon Barkley. I wouldn't bench like Austin Eckler and, guys like that for him. Like, don't get carried away. All right. The other big one, we weren't sure about Ja'Marr Chase. Looks like he's not playing. They were kind of pretending he was. He practiced all week, but he's not ready. So thankfully, you don't have to choose between Jeff Wilson or Ja'Marr Chase. You can just sit Ja'Marr Chase. Yeah. Don't play him. And Joe Mixon, as suspected, is also out. Again, I think you said this last week. Don't count on Samaje Perine to get 3 touchdowns necessarily. He's a good start, but not necessarily a smash spot.
Yeah, but Tennessee's run defense is literally right now, they are the best run defense in the NFL. And we saw it, last week against Green Bay, just totally shut them down. Out of the 3 kind of like, I guess, backups that are now starters this week, although I get, technically, I guess Rachaad White was a starter, and I guess technically Jeff Wilson was a starter. But, like guys you haven't been counting on all season. I much prefer Rachaad White and Jeff Wilson to Samaje Perine. To me, Samaje Perine this week is like, if you need him, you can put him in because he's going to get the work. But, man, I'm not expecting a big Perine game. But, of course, saying that, he'll probably be the one that scores the most points because that's how fantasy is.
But, I feel like he got his season's worth of points last week. That kind of feels like. But, look, if you have Mixon, Perine's the perfect pivot, right? Because you're without Mixon. But, yeah, again, be realistic here. All right, some other big names. Mike Williams out, even though Keenan Allen is healthy. Go figure. Rondale Moore also out again. And then we got Jerry Jeudy, another missed game. Kadarius Toney, shockingly out. You can forget about him. Yeah, you can drop him if you need to. And then some minor players here, but Isaiah Likely was just ruled out. And that's interesting because I'll get to the Ravens in a minute. A couple of other Ravens players are questionable. But Likely is out. Jaylen Warren is out, which obviously means it's going to be all Najee all day. And then at quarterback, Matt Stafford is out, as if that Rams offense couldn't get worse. Just wait. And then Davis Mills is benched. He's just not the starter anymore. So Kyle Allen gets a shot against Miami. We'll see how that turns out. All right. Questionable. Now, this one's interesting. Josh Jacobs just popped up, and nobody probably realized it because this happened after Friday because he was not on the injury report at all until after Friday practice. It's always concerning when there's a late week injury designation. How worried are you about him?
You got to be pretty worried. It's a calf, number one. And number two, like you said, not on the injury report all week until Friday, which means he heard it in practice on Friday. This is going to be one of those things where you got to wait till tomorrow morning probably to see if he's in or out. But I would definitely, if you have Josh Jacobs, I'd be going to your waiver wire and making backup plans if possible.
And that's exactly what you did. I was giving Chris some grief because I've been talking about Zamir White. I love Zamir White all offseason. He hasn't touched the ball at all. Now he finally gets a chance maybe to touch the ball. And I go to pick him up. And guess who picked him up first? Of course, Chris. I know. Well, look, there's no love lost here. That we're out to win, right? Okay. Other big one is Justin Fields. I know we're going to get a lot of questions about Justin Fields. Questionable, and they will not say it's a game time decision. You've got to be worried, right?
Well, you also got to be worried because they just elevated Nathan Peterman from the practice squad. And I don't think you elevate Nathan Peterman if you're expecting Justin Fields to play. So I'm not expecting Justin Fields to play. I think if you have a better option, start him. Hopefully, like I know we got questions on Tuesday night, like Dak or Fields. Hopefully you started Dak and didn't wait for Fields. But definitely another guy, like I would be going to your waiver wire right now. If there's any good quarterbacks out there, grab them, put them on your bench because I don't think we're going to see Justin Fields tomorrow.
And you keep hearing things like, well, okay, yes, like you said, activating another quarterback, that's a big red flag. And then talking about thinking long term. And look, this is a team that has what, 3-7? I mean, there's no shot they're making the playoff. Why would they risk their now franchise quarterback for a game against the Jets that really doesn't matter? I would find it really hard to believe that they're going to start Fields. And even if he does play, I mean, even though it's not his throwing shoulder, you got to be worried that he takes a hit, or he just plays it safe and that he's just not as effective. So I would definitely make plans. And those plans probably should not include Trevor Siemian, the backup. So start looking for other quarterbacks. Debo is questionable. Big question mark. He's a guy who has missed time several different games in the last couple of years. So you never know with him. So definitely keep an eye on that. Allen Robinson, questionable in terms of value, and now questionable in terms of health. Logan Thomas, we were talking all week about how much we love him in this matchup, and he's questionable. So maybe pump the brakes there. We'll see if he plays. Gus Edwards, also questionable. No need to risk it with him. And then you've got to keep an eye on this because I talked about Isaiah Likely being out. Well, Devin Duvernay and Demarcus Robinson, who just came off a big game after the bye, looking like this team's number one receiver, they're both questionable. Now, they might both play because Duvernay traveled with the team, and Robinson did get a full practice in on Friday, which means probably they're both going to be in. But, man, this Ravens offense just like nobody can stay healthy at all. But fortunately, Lamar Jackson is in. He is going to play, so that is good news. Kyler Murray is back going to play. His receiver, I already mentioned, Rondale Moore is out. Greg Dortch looking like a great replacement after last week. He's questionable, though, with a thumb, so just keep that in mind. And if anybody cares, Terrace Marshall is questionable. Those two quarterbacks are back. David Njoku is going to play. He should be getting more reps this week. Marquise Brown, another weapon that is back for the Cardinals. So, replacing some receivers with another. How do you expect Marquise Brown to do? Because obviously if Moore and Dortch are out and we know Ertz is out, do you think Marquise Brown gets a huge target share this first week?
If he plays enough snaps, that's always a worry like we saw, like we saw with Njoku, and we've seen other guys coming back from, ankle injuries, like are they going to just throw him out there like, 80, 90% of the snaps, or is he going to play more like 40% of the snaps, 50% of the snaps? But like you said, I mean, if Dortch is out and Rondale Moore is out, even if he plays 40 or 50% of the snaps, he might still get 8 to 10 targets because who else are they gonna? It's him and DeAndre Hopkins. So I'll tell you what, like I wasn't very high on DeAndre Hopkins this year because I'm like, how is he going to compete with Zach Ertz, Hollywood Brown, Rondale Moore? Well, the stars are aligning for DeAndre Hopkins because every time a receiver is set to come back, another one gets hurt. So yeah, if you got Hopkins, you should be feeling good. But for me, Hollywood Brown this week is more like a let me see how he looks kind of guy.
Yeah, if Hollywood was out, it would be like, just fire up DeAndre Hopkins everywhere. Maybe go nuclear, but yeah, the guy who really, let me remind you all, who Chris was really on this week, it's James Conner. Just a reminder, love James Conner this week because it's the Chargers run defense. All right, let's get to the comments. Reminder again, the super chat feature is the best way to get your comments shown, and we will get to those. Let's start with the first couple of comments. Give some props to those who are here early. You will get this one answered, Bofa. Chris Olave or Josh Palmer at wide receiver 3. This is full PPR. Talked about Mike Williams being out. And this is against Arizona or Olave.
I still think you got to go Olave. I do like Palmer this week with Mike Williams out, but I don't know if I can start him over Olave. I know he had that huge game. It's always we like to look at those big games and think, oh my gosh, you got to start this guy. He's gonna have a big game every week now. But it doesn't always work that way. So I still think I go Olave, but this is pretty close now. It's pretty close now.
And one player actually neglected to mention who's just not on the injury report. So I guess that's why it's Gerald Everett. Gerald Everett is clear. He is playing. Gerald Everett is a must start because you've probably seen the stats. I talked about this last week. When you mentioned Kittle as a must start, the Cardinals just give up bucket full of points to tight ends. So Gerald Everett is the guy you really want. Palmer, I think, is a good start, but I'll go with the guy who's the number one receiver against a not so great secondary.
Yeah.
I give the slight edge to Olave. I mean, this is really close, but I'm going to go Olave as well. All right, here we go. Rachaad White or Keenan Allen. Randy Cortez, always with us. Thank you, Randy.
This is also close. I think if it's PPR, though, I got to go Keenan Allen still. I just feel a little bit safer about him. I mean, he only played like 60% of the snaps last week, had 8 targets. It's another good matchup for him. I could easily see him going 10-plus targets in this game. I think I like Keenan Allen just a little bit more than Rachaad White.
And again, these questions, I mean, they're so close because these are both guys in great spots. Assuming this is full PPR, I would go Keenan Allen. If it happens to be standard, you can give maybe the slight edge to Rachaad White, but I'm going to go Keenan Allen too. He looked good. Again, Williams is not out there. Arizona is going to give up some points, so I will go Keenan also. But again, it's close. Like, there's not a bad choice there.
Like, I could see Rachaad White having the bigger game, like he catches 4 or 5 passes, scores 2 touchdowns, and he has a huge game. But it just feels like Keenan has such a high floor. Like, his floor is just so much higher.
Yeah, good point. All right, talk about Justin Fields. Would you go Derek Carr over Justin Fields?
I mean, okay, I'll wait. If Fields plays, I'll play him. I'll gamble with Fields running in a touchdown or using his legs. I don't think Fields is going to play, but in this case, I'll wait and see if Fields plays or not, because I just not that high on Derek Carr this week.
No, going on the road to Seattle, that's always a tough place to play, and he's just been mediocre kind of all season. He has had some games we put up big numbers. The question here, though, always is, okay, let's say you wait and you have Justin Fields in there, and then last second they just say, no, he's not going to play. Who's your backup? Like, are you able to switch it? You know what I mean?
Well,
Carr's
Derek Carr. I assume then he played Derek Carr, right?
In this case, Derek Carr, I want to make sure, Derek Carr plays later, right, than Fields?
That's a good question.
He plays at 3 o'clock. Fields, I don't even know if I even have. Yeah, I guess I do. So Fields plays early.
Yeah, so
what you can do is, but maybe the question here is, if Fields plays, do you just risk it with him? And you're saying yes.
Yeah, if my other option is Derek Carr, I'll risk it with Fields. I'll hope that, I'll take the gamble that they're only going to play him if he's good enough to play, and he'll still run the ball, and he'll still do all that stuff.
All right.
Because that is just Derek Carr, not excited about Derek Carr this week.
No, it's hard to get excited about Derek Carr. I don't think the Raiders are excited about Derek Carr anymore.
No.
Delirious George, would you flex Lockett or Najee?
This is kind of like the floor versus ceiling debate, but I think I'm going to go Najee without Jaylen Warren. It's not a terrible spot for him. He's looked good the last 2 games, right? Averaging almost 5 yards per carry, yards after contact. I mean, I don't know if it was the bye. I don't know if it was the talk about Jaylen Warren. I don't know if it was the foot finally getting healthy, but something has happened. He looks like the guy he should have been all year. And we know he's going to get, 90% of the snaps. He's going to get every single touch in that backfield. He's going to catch passes again. Lockett could have one of those boom Lockett games, but Najee again, kind of like Keenan and Rachaad. Najee's floor is just so high this week. I'm going Najee.
I am too. Again, with Jaylen Warren being out, Najee. I mean, he looks like he's back. And again, Lockett, I almost considered putting him as a boom. I went to DK. I think DK has a better individual matchup this week. If you guys saw our booms video, I think DK has one of those huge weeks. Lockett very well could, right? He could. But I'm going to go with the guy I know is going to get me points. Najee's just solid there. I'll go with him. All right, first super chat here. Let's fire it up. Humberto Juarez, always with us as well. Would you start Hollywood? I mean, it depends, right?
Yeah, only if I had to. If I was starting, let's say okay, so we have a league, the King League, an Endgame King League, which, by the way, is another reason you should join the Discord, because you can play fantasy football against us, real fantasy football for money, not whatever. But anyways, I might be starting Sky Moore this week because it's a 3 wide receiver, 2 flex, and a super flex league, and I'm just that, I don't have Chase. I'm just that banged up a wide receiver. if it was between Hollywood and Sky Moore, I'm going Hollywood. But if I have like, wide receivers I feel pretty good about, I'd rather bench. And I do have Hollywood in a couple leagues. I'm leaving him on the bench, seeing how he looks this week, and then I'll play him next week, hopefully when he's, okay, everything, like kind of like Keenan last week, right? Like, okay, he looked good, got through the game healthy, now I can roll him out.
Yeah, that's a good way to say it. Again, it always depends on who's your other option. So, rankings are not a perfect thing. They change. For me, I do, I change them every day based on news and things that happen. But right now, just to give you an idea, I have him like in the upper 30s among wide receivers. That means he's kind of barely a wide receiver 3 for me. He's basically like a flex option. So you have guys there like Curtis Samuel, Paris Campbell, the guys that you don't really count on, could do something, but you don't really know what to expect. That's kind of where I put Hollywood Brown, whereas before he was a top 15 receiver. So this week, he's kind of an iffy flex. Dudone, star 2. Speaking of Campbell, Hollywood, or Tyler Boyd?
Yeah, see, this is a fair question. These are the kind of guys where you have to start to think.
That's why I didn't even see this question before I answered. I just threw out Paris Campbell there, and I saw that. It's like, that's exactly what I'm talking about.
I mean, I'm going to go Paris Campbell here because I just think the matchup is so good for him. And we know he gets targets from Matt Ryan. Now, Boyd and Hollywood is where it gets close because, as we've seen, when Boyd, even in games where Boyd should smash, where Jamar Chase isn't playing, he doesn't necessarily smash, right? He doesn't. He's not going to get, it should be another big T. Higgins game. Like, it really should. So I think I would go a limited Hollywood over Boyd. I would go Campbell and Hollywood.
Well, see, I know Boyd is going to smash because I picked him to boom last week and he didn't. So I know this week he will. I'm going Boyd because, again, on paper, the matchup, he should have a good game. Chase isn't playing. Mixon's not playing. This will probably be the week Boyd goes off. But even so, I go with him over a limited Hollywood. To me, it's closer between Hollywood and Paris Campbell, so probably safer just to go with Paris Campbell. So that's the way I see it. Sal Palumbo in half PPR, Josh Palmer or Dameon Pierce?
I'm going Palmer. I don't mind. Half PPR definitely makes it closer. But again, I think Palmer can still catch, 6-7 passes in here. He always has a chance to score. Like, Pierce is just so touchdown dependent. And I'm not down on Pierce. I know a lot of people are really down on Pierce after last week. It's funny how, he goes from, an every week have to start guy to, do I even start him anymore after one game? But, Pierce, if he doesn't score, what's he really he's getting, you know what I mean? He's getting you 100 yards, 110 yards maybe. And that's all you're really getting. He's not catching a bunch of passes. So I'm going to go, it's close here, but I'm going to go Palmer.
And this really isn't a trick question. Do you think that the move to Kyle Allen does anything better for this offense?
No. I don't think it changes the offense at all. I don't think the defense, I don't think it changes the way the defense plays against him at all either. I don't think it's like when people ask us trade questions do I trade Chris Godwin for Michael Pittman or something you know what I mean? Where it's guys that are very close and it's I don't know.
Same thing.
Yeah.
If anything, I know one thing with Kyle Allen, he's a little more mobile. He'll scramble a little bit, what Davis Mills really doesn't. I don't think that's good for Pierce. So, yeah, Pierce really doesn't bring the floor that we've seen, and not catching enough passes and the touchdown upside. That's what you're worried about. So, yeah, I go Palmer as well. All right, let's give a couple shout outs to our loyal in-game community members. Michael Fawcett, always
What's up, Michael?
Coming from Seattle. What's up? And then we got Ralphie, who is usually one of our top super chatters. True. All right, but this is a good question. We get this a lot. Is it bad to have players from the same team? You got Tua, Waddle, and Hill. I mean,
no, not after those guys. I mean, think about in years past, if you had Mahomes, Kelsey, and Hill, you were loving life. You were winning every time almost, right? Because there's so many weeks where all three of those guys would go off, or at least two of those guys would go off. And that's the thing about people. I think people have this mindset where every one of my players have to have good games. And that's not really the case. You just need 2 or 3 or 4 guys that have huge games, and it doesn't even really matter what the rest of your team does. So, like, if Tua and Hill go off or Tua and Waddle go off and the other guy doesn't, you're still okay because those 2 guys can carry your team. So when it's these guys, I'm totally fine with it.
Exactly. And have we seen multiple games this year where both Waddle and Hill had big games? We sure have. So, look, that's not going to happen. I mean, obviously the issue is, what if the Dolphins just get shut down? They scored 10 points.
Well, then you're losing.
Yeah, I mean, you're kind of stuck there, but it could happen if you had a guy from the Bills and you had a guy from the Raiders and you had a guy. They could all get shut down. Like, it just happens. So,
I mean, I just had last week. I had Justin Jefferson, CeeDee Lamb, and Saquon Barkley combined for 20 points on my team, and they're not on the same team. They just all had, so it can happen. Yeah,
they just conspired against you. Yeah.
Yes.
All right, and then Joe. What's up, Joe?
Joe.
Now this
is borderline insulting to me, Joe. Come on, it's Rachaad White by a mile.
In this case, it's definitely Rachaad White. All right. And then Antonio, who says, thanks for the content, of course. All right. Not as exciting, but Latavius Murray or Samaje Perine?
This is actually really close for me because we're talking about 2 guys who are just kind of plotters. We're going to get all the running back touches probably. One's in a great spot, one's in a terrible spot, but one's in a great offense and one's in a terrible offense. So do you want the running back in a better matchup in a terrible offense, or do you want the running back in a worse matchup in a better offense? I don't know. I'm going Murray this week. I feel a good Murray game. I really do. Carolina terrible against the run. I think he can fall into the end zone. I think he can rush for 80. I think he can get like 100 total yards. I'm going Murray.
Yeah, I'll go Murray too because, again, Perine, is he really going to get used that much? You got to wonder what the game script is going to be. And look, honestly, this game might not be a high-scoring game because Tennessee is just pretty good on defense. I know they give up a lot more to wide receivers, but in general, that's when it goes more back and forth. Cincinnati, without Mixon, again, Chase still not there. Are they really going to put up a massive point total? Not necessarily. So I feel a little bit better about guys like, mentioned Boyd and Higgins. Perine's he's fine, but I'll go with Murray because at least he's scoring touchdowns. All right, now come on here. Do we need to talk anybody playing Carr over Hurts?
How about this? Because here's how I'll talk you out of it. Because you would like to win this week. Is that enough? Did I talk you out of it?
I don't think you should need to be talked out of playing anybody over Hurts. The only person you maybe would start over Jalen Hurts is Justin Fields when he's 100% healthy, and maybe Pat Mahomes. That's it. Josh Allen.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. Moving on. All right. I know a lot of people worry about the weather. KJ says that heavy rain expected in Cleveland. Is that a reason to sit Amari Cooper?
No, not for rain. Not for rain. It would have to be crazy winds. Or crazy snow like we were going to have in Buffalo last week. It'd have to be something like that. Rain. These guys can play through rain. They can catch the ball in the rain. They got those sticky gloves. Those gloves actually get stickier when they're wet anyway. So, yeah, not worried about Cooper.
And if your other option is Paris Campbell, no, I'd just be pretty upside with Amari Cooper. All right, Humberto with another one. All right, now this one, of course, Rachaad White, but this one's really close. This is tough for me. Flex Rachaad or Aaron Jones?
Look, maybe I'm too high on Rachaad White, but I'm going Rachaad White. It's a smash spot for Rachaad White. Like I said, my only worry for Rachaad White is if somehow Keyshawn Vaughn and Gio Bernard get more involved than we think. But I'm not really that worried about it. There's really nothing else standing in his way. It's a terrible run. It's not like he's got a tough matchup. It's a smash matchup. He looked great against Seattle. This is a worse run defense than Seattle. He looked great against Seattle. The Bucs offensive line is starting to get healthy. The offense is starting to get healthy. It's starting to roll. They're coming out of the bye. I'm playing Rachaad White over Aaron Jones.
I'm not worried about Keyshawn Vaughn or those other guys because, look, Rachaad White was taking over as the lead back when Leonard Fournette was still healthy. He was at least splitting time with him. I don't think Keyshawn Vaughn's going to see 50% of the touches here. And it is a good matchup. Aaron Jones, I know hard to bench him, but honestly, if you think about it, we always say you shoot for higher upside. This week, I think White has more upside. It is really close, right? It's really close between these two, but I would also go White. And then Raheem, Texas. I'm just going to assume TX is Texas. PPR, Rachaad White and Lockett and Tua Murray.
I'm going White and Tua. White and Tua for me. I know Lockett could have one of those big, like, 2-touchdown games, but again, White just has such a high floor. He's got tons of upside as well this week. I definitely got to start Tua over Murray. It's a good matchup. Murray, we don't know how healthy that hamstring is. We don't know how much Hollywood is going to play. White and Tua.
I feel like every week we have a lot of Tua Murray. It's like a lot of the people who drafted Kyler Murray wound up picking up Tua because you needed to. Of course, I'm going Tua. Murray's been banged up, but also Tua gets Houston. Like, yes, they're going to run all over him, but they could also pass all over him. So going Tua. And again, I know Lockett, like you just said, could have that big game, but that's not guaranteed. White definitely has the floor. All right. First celebrity cameo is Marky Mark.
Woo!
Funky Bunch. All right. Let's check out the Funky Bunch here. Tua or Herbert?
This is a little bit closer, but I think I'll still give the slight edge to Tua because he has Hill and Waddle healthy. If Mike Williams was healthy and 100%, maybe I could talk myself into Herbert. It is a great matchup, but he doesn't have that down the field threat anymore, right? He's got Keenan in there, he's got Palmer, but they're not down the field guys. So still gonna go Tua. I think he has a little bit more upside for me. Am I answering both questions? Aaron Jones.
Yeah, we'll do the next one. Yeah, Tua or Herbert. Again, that's really close. I mean, you got to like them both this week, but I think this will probably be the last week, rest of the season. I would say Tua, but yeah, Tua against Houston, you have to. All right, and then who at the flex? We got Aaron Jones, Olave, Gibson, or Murray.
I mean, I'm assuming Latavius Murray. I can eliminate Latavius Murray and Gibson. I do like Gibson this week, but not on the same level as those other guys. This one's pretty close too here. I do kind of feel like the Packers may have to lean on Aaron Jones in this game. The Eagles haven't been great against the run. I know they brought in Sue and the other guy off the streets. I can never remember his name. He's like 350 pounds or something. He's like a huge body in the middle or whatever. But I think they are going to have to lean on this game. I'm going to give the slight edge to Aaron Jones over Olave, but it's really close for me.
Yeah, I definitely can't put Murray in with these guys. And then Gibson, if you need a running back, I wouldn't put him in the same category as Aaron Jones. So between Jones and Olave, it's close. It's close between those two. I like Aaron Jones enough. I'll go with Aaron Jones also. Yeah, this is a good suggestion. Instead of start today, we should just call it Rachaad White. All right, no. But we have some non-Rachaad White questions here. All right, so Dr. Blacks, Mixon is out. Who to flex? We got Curtis Samuel, Paris Campbell, Treylon Burks, or Isaiah Pacheco. Coming all the way from Munich.
Oh, nice. I'm going to say Treylon Burks. Like Curtis Samuel and Paris Campbell, like they're fine. Like, okay, yeah, start them. They're fine. I would normally say Pacheco, but not this week against the Rams. Like one thing about the Rams, they've been bad in a lot of ways, but they've still been great against the run this season. And he's not a guy that's going to catch any passes probably. So I'll take a chance on Burks hitting a big play. One thing about Cincinnati, they give up big plays. They're susceptible to big plays in the passing game. They're very good against the run. So I could see this being another game like last week where Tennessee's not able to get a lot going on the ground. They're forced to throw more than they want. Burks hitting on a couple of big plays. I'll gamble on Burks.
Yeah, we loved Pacheco last week. He's the guy we probably had the most questions on, him and Tony, unfortunately. But that was because of the matchup. This week, out on Pacheco, unless you really need him. Campbell's fine, but I like the other two better. I love Treylon Burks. But I don't know, man. Curtis Samuel going against that Atlanta secondary.
True.
so hard to bench him. It's between those two for me, Samuel or Burks. I feel a little better about Samuel, just because of the matchup. So it's really close between those two. I know you prefer Burks. I'll probably go Samuel, which is odd because usually I'm the Burks truther and you're the Washington fan.
My issue with Samuel is he's just like, yeah, it's a great matchup and it's hard. You want guys against Atlanta if you can, but he just doesn't get a ton of targets these days. So
yeah. You need to hit on a big play. Burks can definitely hit on a big play. It's between those two.
Atlanta,
so I would say flip a coin there. All right, Victor DiMartio. Lazard, Watson, or Burks?
Not Lazard. Not feeling a big Lazard game this week. It's a tough matchup.
Yeah, definitely tough going against that Philly secondary.
Again, it's between what. It's so hard to bench Watson right now. I think you have to just play him until the wheels fall off. And look, they're going to fall off, and it could be this week. He's not going to keep catching a touchdown every other pass. It's just, we know this. Everybody knows this. But you don't want him to be on your bench if it keeps going, right? Like if he catches another long one this week, you're going to be kicking yourself for having him on your bench. It's such a tough spot, though, against Philly, but still, like, I can't bench Watson until he stops doing it. So I'm going to go Watson.
And you got to wonder, who is Darius Slay going to spend the most time on? Guess would be Lazard, I would guess. Yeah, same thing. If you're between these guys, I'd go for Watson. I mean, he's scoring touchdowns. Again, and it's kind of like the Cole Kmet thing, from before. Until he stops scoring, you put him in there and, see what happens. All right, welcome back to Eat More Children. All right, this is interesting. My opponent is benching Kamara and Etienne for Jeff Wilson. Okay, Kamara, yeah, we totally are on board with that. Would you bench Etienne for Jeff Wilson?
No way. That is too much. I mean, I think Wilson will have a nice game. It probably won't kill him either. Like, I don't think like Etienne's gonna obliterate Jeff Wilson, but no, that's too far. Too far.
Agree. Again, this is talked about this at the very beginning. Wilson, sure, he could smash, but you don't bench one of the top running backs, a stud, over him. So, all right. Jeff Football, who to bench? Got 2 running backs, 2 receiver, flex league. Already had Lamb. Okay, so from the running backs, you got JT, Walker, and Etienne. Ouch. So who would you bench out of that?
Yeah, because he only has 2 wide receivers, it says. Well, I don't get this. Oh, he already played Lamb.
So you have to pick between either A.J. Brown or Waddle, and then you got to bench either Etienne, Walker, or JT.
Oh, man. You cannot bench Ken Walker this week. This feels like Kenneth Walker, #1 scoring running back week to me against the Raiders. Like, he's a must, absolute must this week. Can't bench JT. Can't bench Etienne, but I guess you have to. Well, not necessarily. You could flex one of them. Like, you know what? I'm gonna bench AJ Brown. I'm just going to like not because I'm down on AJ Brown or anything, but just because I don't want to bench those running backs and I don't want to bench Waddle this week against Houston. I'm just gonna bench AJ Brown, and I think you'll be just fine. I mean, I think you'd be just fine if you bench Waddle. I think you'd be just fine if you bench Etienne. Like really, you're stacked, so I think you're gonna be fine no matter what. But I'm gonna bench AJ Brown.
Yeah, I have to start JT and Walker. Those are my 2 running backs for sure. And then it's Houston. I have to play Waddle. It's between Etienne and Brown for me as well. And I don't know. I mean, I had this discussion in the Discord earlier. Someone asking about AJ Brown. Like AJ Brown versus Jeff Wilson. Like AJ Brown is kind of all or nothing, right? He'll either have a monster game or sometimes he just does nothing. Could he do nothing this week? He sure could. He's going to get Jair Alexander. He's been kind of banged up lately. You just don't know with AJ Brown. So I guess the safer play for you is Etienne. You really don't need to risk it because you got studs. I'm wondering if this is an 18 league. All right. And then we have Michael Cazares. Welcome back, Michael. White, Kamara, Monty, Pacheco. Pick 2. Let's do that.
Well, White's actually the one I like the most out of this. And then I think I got to go Montgomery this week.
Me
It's
too.
just such a bad spot for Kamara against the Niners. I mean, look, Kamara has been terrible this year running the ball anyways, and now he gets a terrible matchup. He's going to need to catch, 7 or 8 passes and score a touchdown to really have a big game this week. And are we banking on that? Like, because he's only done that once the whole year. So Monty's going to get all the touches. And if they don't have Justin Fields, they're probably just going to run the ball even more than they normally do. So I'm going to go White and Monty.
I am too. Look, like I said, Pacheco is the one I can easily scratch off here.
Yeah.
Kamara, look, 3 straight weeks. Kamara has really done nothing for you in fantasy, and now he gets I think the second toughest run defense in the league. No thanks. I'll go White and Monty as well. The reasons you said, and then Ayuk or Olave.
I think I still got to go Olave here. I mean, I do like Ayuk, but again, we're seeing it with this 49ers. Like, I know last week he scored 2 touchdowns, but he only had 4 targets. He's kind of doing like the Christian Watson dance right now, where it's like every time I touch the ball, I score. Yeah, I'm gonna go Olave.
Yeah, I almost want to say, well, what if Debo doesn't play? Maybe I'm more interested in Ayuk, but I mean, I do like Ayuk this week, but I still like Olave a little better. He's clearly the number 1 guy in that offense. That's the difference.
The 49ers give up. They're susceptible to the pass. That's the one area that they are not very strong in.
Right. All right. So we'll say Olave. I like them both, but I like Olave a little bit better. Barter Mania, welcome back. Hopkins, Waddle, Allen, pick 2.
I think it's got to be the first 2. These are all great options. But with Hopkins, with no Rondell Moore, probably no Greg Dortch, definitely no Zach Ertz, probably a limited Marquise Brown. Like I said, the stars have aligned for DeAndre Hopkins this year. Like, this was not what we expected pre-draft when we thought, okay, he's gonna have to compete with Hollywood, he's gonna have to compete with Zach Ertz. Now, the stars are aligning for him. You got to play him. Waddle against Houston, just too much upside for Waddle this week. I do like Keenan, but he's more like a floor guy, so I'm going to go the first 2.
Yeah, I mean, you have to start Hopkins. We talked about that kind of the top of the show. And, I mean, again, these are all good options. It's hard to bench Keenan Allen. But, look, while even though everyone is just assuming Jeff Wilson's going to go insane and, run for 300 yards, guess what? They are going to pass the ball, too. And they've got really good receivers. And this Houston defense is still not even good against wide receivers either. They actually give up still the most yards per target out of any defense in the league. The most. That's good for Waddle. So, speaking of and cheers, by the way. Cheers, Barmania. Speaking of Dolphins, our favorite user's avatar, Kyle Burks. What's up, Kyle? All right, talk about P. Ryan again. Fournette was his number 2 RB and got Pacheco in the flex over Sutton, Foreman, Boyd, and Samuel. Would you switch that up?
Yeah, I mean, if you got to start P. Ryan as your RB2, you got to start P. Ryan as your RB2. You can't do anything about that. But I'm not starting Pacheco over Sutton, Boyd, or Curtis Samuel this week, honestly, because, again, like, you need a touchdown from Pacheco this week because it's a bad matchup. He only gets carries. McKinnon is going to be the guy catching the passes. Now, of those 3, who do I like the best? That's the question.
Yeah,
like
I'm also benching Pacheco. Maybe Sutton. I guess Sutton.
Well, Sutton has a safe floor. Boyd should have the upside, but we also know Boyd could have, do nothing. Like, Boyd could smash or he could do nothing. That's just what Boyd does. And Curtis Samuel has the best matchup. So it's like...
Well, it's like, do you prioritize matchup or target share? Sutton is the number 1 guy there. Judy's still out, but he's got Russell Wilson. And Boyd and Samuel have much better matchups, but they're not the number 1 receiver on their teams. So it is really Sutton's a safe guy. Boyd for me would be the boom play if you want to take a chance.
Yeah, I agree. Sutton if you want the floor, Boyd if you want the upside, but you're okay with no floor.
Right. All right, Chavi. Should I flex White, Debo, or Lave, or Godwin? Got to pick one of those.
Well, I can tell you right now,
White over Kamara.
Yeah, okay, we'll put White over Kamara, definitely.
Waddle and Brown. Guessing A.J. Brown is the starting receiver.
But I mean, okay, so put White in over Kamara and then flex. I think I'm going to flex Godwin this week over these guys. I don't know. It's close. It's really close between these three guys. I'm a little worried about Debo with the hamstring issue. Plus, it's like, okay, he hasn't really done anything, and then he went off against Arizona. Like, is Debo back, or was that just because it was Arizona? You know what I mean?
Yeah, normally I would say flex Debo, but questionable, and when he's not right, it's a very risky start, and you got good options there. So definitely put White over Kamara. Olave or Godwin, the upside goes with Olave. We know he can make those bigger plays. So it's kind of that floor ceiling question again.
Yeah, and look, if there really is going to be bad weather in Cleveland, then maybe just go Olave. Don't risk it because you have good options. But I would definitely put White in over Kamara.
Yeah, White over Kamara. I'd go Olave also. Ben wants to know. Got Gerald Everett at tight end, Rachaad White at flex. Those are both good. Got Kmet, Watson, Cordero, and Campbell on a bench. Would you change any of that?
Nope, looks good. If Gerald Everett plays and is healthy, I'm playing him this week. It's a smash spot for him. And I know we talked about Watson. You want to ride him till the wheels fall off, but I'm not playing him over Rachaad White. That's too much.
Yeah, look, Everett, if he's not even on the injury report, he's good to go against Arizona. I think I'll have him as a top 5 tight end this week, honestly. And then Kmet's going to possibly have a backup quarterback throwing to him. And then you got to start Rachaad White. I mean, you got it. All right. And Brandon Warren, hey, thank you for the super chat. Been following for a while. Appreciate that, which is a good time to remind everyone. If you have been watching for a while, but you haven't gotten active in this chat or just in the community, join the Discord. You could even just be a voyeur if you want. That's your thing. You don't have to participate if you just want to watch and check out. We have a lot of the news. Honestly, we break the news as it happens. You'll get that on the news channel. And start say you can throw polls in there. There's so much you can join for free. But anyways, let's get to this question. In a 1 quarterback league, have Trevor Lawrence and Jimmy G. Lawrence might have to pass a lot, but you feel safer with Jimmy G. Who do you like better between those two?
I think I like Jimmy G better this week. Honestly, this offense is loaded. Jimmy G doesn't have to work for it, right? He just gives the ball, get in the hands of CMC, Ayuk, Kittle, Debo if he plays, and let them do their thing. And the Saints still really banged up in that secondary, so Lawrence is fine, but I like Jimmy G a little more than Lawrence this week.
Yeah, I just can never get excited about Trevor Lawrence anymore. I mean, he really hasn't done a lot. That Ravens defense started out really bad against the pass and against quarterbacks. But slowly but surely, they've been getting better and better. And, of course, the big addition, Roquan Smith, they've clamped down quite a bit. So I don't feel great about Trevor Lawrence this week in a 1 quarterback league. I don't want him. I'd just rather have Jimmy G. I would feel better if Debo was playing, but I'll go with Jimmy G. So agree there. Okay, well, it's interesting. Somebody here, Enzo says Debo was practicing with no limitations.
All right, well, that's a good sign.
Yeah, we will see.
Yeah.
All right. So Max through a super chat, and I saw you had a comment earlier. And let's see if we can get your question. I think it was like much earlier.
I think it's right here. I got it. I actually have it on my screen. This one? No, that's Mike. My bad.
All right. Yeah, we'll look for yours, Max. Don't worry.
But to answer your question, Mike, yes, I think Rachaad White is a top 12 RB1 this week, to answer your question.
I got him in the top 12 for sure. Not top 5, but top 12.
Oh, here's Max. Okay.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, I just found Max right here. Here we go.
All right. Got to start to Kamara, Jones, or Wilson.
Not Kamara. It can easily bench Kamara for me. Jones and Wilson.
Didn't think we'd be saying this before season, but Jeff Wilson easily over Kamara.
Somebody was saying don't draft Kamara.
Well, okay, we did say that. We did say Kamara was going to be way overdrafted, but Jeff Wilson, I mean, yeah.
Well, that's true. Jeff Wilson, true. I didn't say draft Jeff Wilson over Kamara. That's fair.
Yeah, I'm benching Kamara. We were talking about it earlier, Max. I mean, you've got to play the numbers. Forget the name. Forget where you draft them. Forget all that. It's just following the numbers.
Look, I will say this, though. When the fantasy playoffs roll around, you're going to want to play Kamara. He's got great matchups in the fantasy playoffs.
Right. Yeah. It's a weekly game. This week, bench Kamara.
Yes.
All right. Rizzy K, pick 2. Sutton, Ayuk, Palmer, or Boyd.
I think I'm going to go Ayuk and Palmer here. I mean, I like Sutton, but what are you gonna, what you're going to get with Sutton? Like 6 catches, 60 yards, no touchdowns. That's what you're going to get. It's like he's great. You need to put him in. You're getting your double-digit points. Great. Boyd could have one of those crazy 150-yard, like 4-catch, 150-yard, 2-touchdown games, but he can also have that 2-catch, 12-yard games or something. Like Ayuk this week, I like Palmer this week. I'm just going to roll with those guys.
Yeah. I love it when we have the exact same thoughts. 4 or 5 guys, and you say the exact names I looked at. Just makes it easier. I would go Ayuk and Palmer again. We kind of talked about them earlier. Palmer's still going to get a good target share with Mike Williams out. Not a bad matchup. Ayuk, I really like. Even if Deebo plays, you still have to like Ayuk. He's getting a lot of action. Sutton is just kind of a boring floor play, and Boyd is the dice roll, which you don't need because you got 2 better options here. All right, what's up, Jason? Jason Quinones always with us as well. Started Kittle, sat Schultz. It happens. All right, so now you need one for your flex. Metcalf, Monty, or White?
I'm flexing White. I do like Metcalf this week. Monty's okay, but I don't know, man. It just feels like Rachaad White against Cleveland, getting all the touches, getting those Tom Brady check downs. Hard for me to bench Rachaad White. I'm going White.
Yeah, I mean, I had Metcalf as a boom. I think he could have a big game, but just because I pick him to go off doesn't mean they always go off, especially last week. So I think you got to play White. That's the smart play. He's definitely got. He should have a super safe floor. He's going to get all these touches. Not a bad matchup at all. All right, in a different league, we have to start 2 between Juju, Evans, and Cooper.
I think you got to go Evans and Cooper. I mean, unless we hear that the weather, like, it's blowing sideways, it's going to be impossible to throw the ball. I think you got to go Evans, Cooper. I don't mind Juju this week. We know Juju back off that concussion. We know he's going to get targets. We've seen it, so I don't mind him, but got to go Evans and Cooper.
Yeah, Evans is a must start. Not a bad matchup at all. Juju, you'd think, is a guy you want to roll out, but again, for wide receiver specifically, it's not a smash spot for him. I'll go Cooper. All right, Izzy keeps throwing this one out. I think it's a good question, so we'll answer it. Although we don't advocate spamming the chat, but still, Kittle or Everett?
I mean, I think you have to play Kittle. I mean, it feels like this is closer than it should be. It is a tough matchup for Kittle. One thing about the Saints, they've been great against tight ends all year long. All year long, they've been great against tight ends. So, I don't know. I mean, it would be hard for me to bench Kittle for Everett. But I understand the question.
Especially because Everett hasn't played for a couple weeks and we haven't seen him. And look, here's the thing. If you follow the numbers, which I'm not going to say I always, sometimes you got to go with your gut. Sometimes you got to go with what you feel. But look, it couldn't be more of a difference. And I would share my screen if I could. I'll show you the stat here. In terms of fantasy points given up to, tight ends, just tight ends, number one, like the least is the Saints. They allow 7.5 PPR points per game to all tight ends. Okay, that's George Kittle's matchup. 32 is the Cardinals. 20.2 fantasy points per game to tight ends. It's as big a difference as possible. It's the best possible matchup you can imagine for a tight end in Gerald Everett. I feel like I have to go with Everett. I mean, you have to go with the numbers here. The 3 times as much productivity to tight ends. And so with Mike Williams out, I'm going to go Everett.
Yeah, I'm not going to argue that anybody wants to play Everett this week for sure.
Yeah. All right. And then we got Alex, PPR, Hollywood or Michael Carter?
I think here, the selling point for Michael Carter is it's Mike White, and Mike White, when you look at like the Mount Rushmore of check down, dump off quarterbacks, there's like, you got like, I don't know, Eli Manning, you got like, I don't know, but at the top is Mike White, right? Like there's Mike White, and then there's like every other quarterback. Like the dude, like he threw for he had that 400-yard game last year, and like almost half of his yards were to running backs. Like that is insane. Like maybe another quarterback who threw for 400 yards and almost half were to running backs. It's insane. But do I trust that over Hollywood? If it's my team, I'm probably going Hollywood. Maybe I'm going to regret it, but I'm going Hollywood.
I feel like this is a matchup where you do have to go with Hollywood because Michael Carter, I mean, maybe. And I saw that stat because, yeah, he had that one huge game before having a couple of terrible games. Mike White had that one huge game by dumping it off to Michael Carter, and I think it was Ty Johnson. Like 91 yards.
Yes.
Yeah, like 95 yards of his 400 yards were to Michael Carter. That doesn't mean it's going to happen again. I'm not saying it's going to happen this week. Carter's fine if you need him. And look, I hope he gets a bunch because I actually have to start Michael Carter in one league because Leonard Fournette is out. But I'm going Hollywood here. And I posted that stat, by the way, on Mastodon, which out with Twitter on Mastodon. Guys, get on Mastodon. I'm starting. It doesn't exist yet, but I'm starting the fantasy football community on Mastodon because it's not owned by any tyrannical, crazy billionaires.
Not yet, at least. Not yet.
Well, no, it won't.
Give it like 15 or 20 years. It'll get there.
I'm an open source guy. All right. Orlando, again, rain in Cleveland. Are you worried? Would you bench? You got to bench either Amari, Godwin, or Monty.
Well, again, unless we hear that it's going to just be like sideways wind and rain, just crazy weather, then I'll bench Amari. But if not, I'm benching Montgomery out of this group.
Yeah, rain isn't a big deal. Like snow, maybe, but nah, I'm not too worried about this. And then we got Fonzie Doobie Fresh. All right, choose 2. Waddle, Rashad, Hopkins. Are you going to be forced into benching Rashad White?
I think in this case you have to. You can't sit Hopkins and Waddle this week. As much as I like Rashad White and I hope Rashad White, goes for 50, you can't bench those guys for Rashad White.
No, Hopkins is a must start, and then Waddle again. I mean, you potentially benching a guy who's going to go off for 100 yards. Like White is a guy who has that floor, and he could have a huge game. But again, this is full PPR. I don't see how Waddle could just totally bust against Houston.
Yeah.
All right, let's give this not a super chat, but Enzo give us that information earlier. What should I trade Watson for? That's an interesting question.
I mean, I guess it depends how people in your league value Watson. I kind of feel like the time to trade, because the problem is they played last Thursday, and people have short-term memories. It doesn't feel like the Watson excitement is that high right now for some reason. Like after the game last Thursday, that was the time to trade Christian Watson, right? I'm assuming you're talking about Christian Watson, or is he talking about Deshaun?
Well, that's a good point. If it's Deshaun Watson, that's a different issue.
I mean, if it's Deshaun Watson, this is a great time to trade him because he's coming back next week. And if you don't need him, it's a great time to trade him. But I'm assuming you mean Christian Watson. I mean, I'd be trying to get like a solid RB2. Like if you need a running back, I think you could trade Watson for Pierce right now, no problem. Maybe even Montgomery.
Yeah, I'm wondering now the timing. Maybe it is Deshaun Watson. Okay, and so if you want to clarify, throw that in the chat. Which, by the way, we're still catching up. I know that question was almost from a half hour ago. Guys, we are answering your chats, your comments. We are doing super chats first. We're trying to get to some regular comments as well. But again, keep at it. Stay with us. We're going to be here until we answer for sure all the super chats, plus as many as we can. And maybe your question doesn't get answered specifically, but if you stick around and listen, we will talk about a lot of the same players, especially if they're named Rachaad White. So you can hear our take on a lot of these guys, and maybe your question gets answered through somebody else's. All right, George Brennan wants to know, would you flex Christian Watson, Rachaad White, Pacheco, or DPJ?
I mean, I know I said you want to ride Christian Watson until the wheels fall off, but not when you have Rachaad White. It's Rachaad White. Definitely higher floor, great ceiling this week. Got to be Rachaad White.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those first two for this week, and yeah, I'm going Rachaad White because Watson is going to be so hit or miss.
Yeah.
All right, then we got Ron Root. Welcome back, Ron. Michael Pittman or Chris Olave?
I mean, if it was full PPR, I would easily say Pittman for me. It's such a great matchup. Half PPR makes it a little bit closer because he doesn't rack up. He's probably not going to go for 100 yards, which Olave can on one play. Not maybe on one play, but he can have that one huge play like we saw last week. I think I still got to go Pittman though. It's just such a good matchup for Pittman against the Steelers. Terrible secondary. We know Matt Ryan's going to target him a ton. And another thing is, I still like JT this week. I think JT will be great, but they have TJ Watt back, so they're not as terrible against the run as they were for a lot of the season. Still really bad against the pass. I'm going Pittman here.
I'm going Pittman too. He's another guy I feel could finally have his big game, or his first big game since when was his last big game? Week 3 or something?
4.
Week 4. Yeah. So it's close. Both guys in good spots, but I'll give the slight edge to Pittman. And then Michael Fawcett was up. All right. Need to bench one. Cooper, Lockett, Pittman, or Kirk?
I'm going Lockett here. I do like Lockett, and like I said, I think you could have one of those 2-touchdown crazy games, but I can't bench Cooper. Kirk in a smash spot this week. Pittman in a smash spot this week. I actually like all 4 of these guys this week.
Yeah.
But Lockett's the one I like the least, so I'm going to bench Lockett.
Man, these are all guys that you don't really know what you're going to get, but I hate to bench any of them. Kirk always could have a big game. I do like him this week. We just talked about Pittman. It's hard to bench Cooper. I'm going to go Lock. Again, I feel like it's a DK Metcalf week. I feel like it's Kenneth Walker week 2, so I know he's one of your Seahawks, but let's go ahead and bench Lockett.
That's true.
Rodney Woods, need one. Pacheco, Murray, White, Pirine is ready to start.
Again, I have White in a completely different tier from these guys. Pacheco, Murray, Pirine, you're desperate, you need them. Okay, they're startable. White to me is a must start this week, so I'm going White.
Yeah, we already talked about a lot of these guys. Pacheco, not crazy about. Murray, only if you need him. Pirine, yeah, it's White. Again. The Dawn. All right, here we go. 2 of those same guys. I guess we kind of already answered this. Lockett or Kirk?
Yeah, Kirk. It's Baltimore. It's not a strong secondary. And look, Kirk's only had 3 bad games this year, and when he has good games, they're really good, right? They're not like 12-point games. They're really good games. So I'm going Kirk. I think he has just as much upside as Lockett, and is safer.
Yeah, I'm going to go Kirk too. This could go either way. These are both guys that put up huge games, put up nothing. Hopefully it doesn't go the opposite way, right? The guy you picked. But anyways, yeah, I'm going to go Kirk. Ravens have been better against the pass, but they're still giving up some games to wide receivers. So I think you're okay with Kirk. And then Ron with another one, Etienne or Sanders. And this is half PPR.
I get that Green Bay is a good matchup, but still, I can't bench Etienne. He's like one of those running backs you just put him in every week, regardless of matchup, because he's so good. He gets so much volume, so much usage. I know Sanders technically has a better matchup this week, but it doesn't matter. I still got to go Etienne.
I mean, it's definitely a better matchup for Sanders for sure. But, Etienne's going to get more usage. Etienne is just so explosive. You know what I mean? It's just hard to count. And one thing, Sanders has been scoring this year, but he's not always the first option near the goal line, right? Jalen Hurts takes it in. Once in a while, Kenny Gainwell comes in. And so I think this is actually close. It's closer than you would think, but I can't sit Etienne. And then Julio Espinoza. Welcome back, Julio. This last few weeks. All right. If Josh Jacobs doesn't play, which is possible, Pierce or Rachaad White?
Definitely Rachaad White. I mean, especially in PPR, but even without PPR, definitely Rachaad White. Again, going against a bottom 2 run defense, going to get all the touches. I like Pierce. It's an okay matchup for Pierce. It's not like the worst matchup, but it's not like a smash spot for Pierce either. So definitely Rachaad White if Jacobs is out.
Yeah, one thing you have to consider, even though Houston's pretty much been sticking with the run regardless because they just can't pass, he could get scripted out for the most part because if Miami puts up points and then Houston, and I'll talk about the Kyle Allen factor. Kyle Allen does scramble. This might not help Pierce. I almost worry, honestly. If Pierce, because he's gotten so many touches so far, maybe hits that rookie wall. It's possible, right? You think with how many touches he's getting, he should be smashing, but this offense is just not helping him out. It's not his own. It's not his fault, right? The pass game has to do something. But yeah, I kind of worry. But anyways, it's Rachaad White. All right, the Paisan. Pittman or Ayuk?
Again, I got to go Pittman. I know Ayuk's been scoring touchdowns and Pittman's not, but he's the number 1 wide receiver. He's getting such a huge target share with Matt Ryan. And the best part is, I don't know if you saw our the players you'll regret video. I talked about it in there. His catch percentage with Matt Ryan this year is 73%. That's insane. That's insanely high. It's the Steelers. I just don't see how Pittman doesn't have a 15-point floor in this game. Yeah, he might not go for 30 because, I don't know, he might not score a touchdown the rest of the year. Who knows? But it's just too good of a matchup. I can't sit Pittman.
This is close. I like both guys, but again, go with the one who's the number 1 target on his team in a good spot. Debo maybe will play, maybe won't, but I feel that Pittman in PPR definitely has a higher floor. I think he's getting more targets here. Ayuk a little more touchdown dependent. Look, he's scoring touchdowns, but that's not guaranteed. There's no promise he scores a touchdown. So I do like Ayuk, and it's tough for me to bench him this week, but I'll go Pittman. All right, let's do a couple of quick non-super chats. Some of our new guys, or at least new that I don't recognize. Joe Doja says, "What's up? Mixon is out. Have Kamara." Yeah, I know. Sanders as your flex, that's okay. Olave. Pick one. Hollywood, Pickens, DPJ, or Zay Jones?
I mean, I think out of this group, I'll just gamble with Hollywood. Pickens in a tough spot. Zay Jones, whatever.
Yeah.
The DPJ, he's been playing great, but it's not a great matchup for him this week. And it's a home game for Cooper, so you got to think Cooper is going to get all the targets. Although, I don't know. Maybe now he's become a road warrior after last week.
Yeah.
But I think if these are your options, I'll just go with Hollywood.
Yeah, it's either Pickens or Hollywood. Pickens is, you just really don't know what he's going to do. I'll take a chance with Hollywood. If he's a full go, then you got to like his chances. And then Angel, Badio, who should I start? Keenan Allen or Metcalf at the flex?
This is tough. This is
very
tough. I think I like Keenan a little bit more. I know Metcalf could have the bigger game, but it just feels like Keenan Allen's floor is like I said, with Pittman, it feels like he has a 15-point floor. How does he score less than 15? What's the path outside of injury, of course, which is certainly a path for Keenan Allen? What's the path for him getting? He got 12 last week, playing 60% of the snaps. I don't see the path for him scoring less than 15 PPR. He got 12 last week with a fumble. So I don't see him getting less than 15 this week. Like, I do like Metcalf. I think Metcalf could have a big game, but Keenan just feels like his floor is so high this week. I can't bench him. I think I got to give Keenan a slight edge.
Close here. It's again kind of more floor ceiling debate here. I'm feeling DK this week. I'll go DK because I feel like he's also a pretty safe option. It's the Raiders. It's the Raiders defense. That secondary is terrible. Only thing with Allen, I'll say, look, Palmer has been really good lately. Gerald Everett is back. Eckler always is taking a lot of work. So I think Allen is more just of a floor play this week. I like to chase the ceiling. So I think you're fine either way. This is really close. I'll prefer personally to chase that huge game with DK. All right, Robert Mitchell. Thank you. All right. So he said he lost Goddard and everyone took all the tight ends. That's not fair. So he's got to go either Evan Ingram or Logan Thomas. Man, we both really like Logan Thomas, but now he's banged up and questionable. It would be such a great matchup, though. Is it worth risking him over like Evan Ingram?
So since he's got a rib injury and an illness,
both.
Man, I liked Logan Thomas so much this week, but now, like, I think just don't even risk it and just play Evan Ingram. I like Evan Ingram too. Like, you don't want to run the risk of starting Logan Thomas and kind of like what we saw at Mike Williams last week. He catches a pass and then gets hit in the ribs or something. He's out for the game. I think just go with Evan Ingram now that Logan Thomas is, I guess. Yeah. This is the problem with like these 30-plus-year-old, relying on these 30-plus-year-old players who aren't named, Travis Kelce. So, yeah, I guess go Evan Ingram.
It should be Logan Thomas, but again, he's banged. He's hurt and sick. Yeah, no, I won't risk it. I'll go with Evan Ingram. Paul Barbent needs a running back in a flex. Ooh, all right, here we go. Let's test this out. Rachaad White or Najee?
I'm definitely playing Rachaad White over Najee. I like Najee a lot, but it's a tougher matchup, and he's on the Steelers, not the Bucs. So I'm going Rachaad White.
This is true. Man, I mean, I like them both. I do have Rachaad White just a little bit higher ranked than Najee. So, and then you got a flex one, Godwin, Kirk, or do you go Najee?
I'm going Kirk. I know there's a lot of risk with Kirk, but man, I just feel such a big Kirk game this week. It's a good matchup coming out of the bye against Baltimore. I do like Godwin, but he's just kind of safe. And I do like Najee, but there's I don't know. I just feel like Kirk is going to have a big game. I assume it's PPR. I'm going Rachaad White and Christian Kirk.
Yeah, I think you have to go Rachaad White here. Yeah, Godwin is same as he's been all year. He's just kind of a safe floor guy. Look, yeah, Kirk definitely could disappoint you, but he could also go for 2 touchdowns, 130 yards. I'm going to say it again. I'm going to chase that upside. I'll go for that upside. Kirk is not in a bad spot. I hate to bench Najee, though, because, he could definitely have a big game. But you know what I'm going to do, Chris? I think we've kind of talked about this earlier. It's been a while since we've done a giveaway, hasn't it?
It did this, yes.
Before the season, and we went to the expo in Ohio, and I think it's time again because now finally, would you see Najee is kind of back, right? He's
back.
So we have from Pristine Auction a signed Najee Harris jersey. We're going to give it away just because you are part of our community to somebody who is in our in-game community. All you have to do is, of course, you should be subscribed to this channel. That's a no-brainer. Join the Discord, and then in the Discord, you will see in the giveaway channel, we're going to post a question, and if you answer that question correctly, you get a chance to win a Najee Harris autographed jersey. That's it. Easy, free. All you have to do is join our community, and I think you'll be glad you did.
Yes.
All right.
I like it.
Antonio Root, let's keep going. Rachaad White or Boyd in the flex?
Definitely Rachaad White for me again. Like, just a way higher floor, has a great ceiling this week. Definitely going Rachaad White.
Going Rachaad White too. I think we should keep count. That's like how many times have we Rachaad White? 23? All right. Eddie Davis. All right, here we go. We need a lot of choice here. Okay, start at quarterback. You got Ryan, Heineke, Russ, or Tannehill?
I'm going Heineke out of this group. It's Atlanta. He runs. He can run in a touchdown. He's got weapons. It should be Russ, but it's not Russ. It's not. I'm going Heineke.
I'm just pretending Russell Wilson doesn't exist because I'm not going to be disappointed. I mean, honestly, no. I go Heineke. He gets Atlanta probably best streaming option. Okay, here we go. We got Rachaad White. We got Pacheco. We got Foreman. I think we can easily say it's Rachaad White there.
Yeah, definitely Rachaad White at running back. Yes.
And then out of the tight ends, I'm kind of skipping here because it's last one that says flex. Okay, so at tight end, you got Moreau, Ingram, Thomas, Tunyon, or Conklin.
I do kind of like Conklin this week, but I mean, he's risky. But, I really like Moreau this week. You talked about how bad Arizona is. Seattle's right there with Arizona, terrible against tight ends. He's playing 100% of the snaps. I think he has a nice game. With Thomas being banged up and questionable now, and I'll just go with Moreau. I won't deal with it with Thomas.
Yeah, I feel like, again, it should have been Thomas, but it's not this week. Tunyon, whatever, no Tunyon. Ingram is okay. Robert, I wish that you had Moreau. From our question earlier, if Moreau's available for you, pick him up.
Yeah.
But it sounds like everyone else already got him. So Conklin is interesting now with a different quarterback. Maybe he gets targeted again, but I'll go Moreau as well. And then at flex, you could either pick one of those running backs, or you can go Christian Watson, DJ Moore, Hollywood, or Sky Moore. I just roll out Watson, huh?
Yeah, I was debating between him and Hollywood, but rather than risk it with Hollywood, they're both risky. But give me the guy who's been playing, who we've seen score the touchdowns. I'll go Watson at the flex this week.
Yeah, go Watson. Between Watson and Hollywood, but yeah, I'll go Watson. All right, Sabe-san, welcome again. Always with us on Saturdays. Start Gibson or Cordero?
I'm going Gibson this week. It's a good matchup. He's getting a lot more work lately. With no McKissick, he's the only running back catching passes. He'll probably catch, a few passes. Cordero Patterson, he's Tyler Algier getting almost the same amount of touches, and Caleb Huntley getting touches. It's a full-on committee there. I'm going Gibson.
Yeah, this Atlanta offense just keeps kind of just shrilling down to nothingness. I mean, I don't know. I'll go Gibson. He's getting more touches than Patterson, and that matters. All right, and then we got Pittman or Devontae.
I like them both, but I like Pittman a lot more. I already talked about it, right? Going to get a ton of targets against a terrible secondary. The risk with Devontae is always is it going to be A.J. Brown's week or is it going to be Devontae's week? So there's always that risk, right? Whereas Pittman, unless Campbell scores a touchdown, Pittman's going to be the number one wide receiver, basically. So, yeah, I'll go Pittman.
I'm going Pittman too. And then for a tight end, Hurst or Everett? Well, I'm going Everett here.
Yeah, definitely going Everett at tight end.
Yeah, Hurst really hasn't been exciting. And
I like Everett. Look, if Everett, when we did our Booms videos, if we knew Everett was playing, I would have put Everett in the Boom over Logan Thomas. But at the time, we don't know if Everett's going to play. I don't want to put him in the video, and then it's like he's out. So, yes, it's Everett.
Yeah, keep that in mind, guys. I know you watch our start sit, especially we talk about tight ends, We do that usually on Monday nights, and it comes out Tuesday at the latest. A lot changes, right? But we want to get you our opinions and thoughts before Saturday so you can, catch up on everything. But yeah, loved Logan Thomas until we knew he was hurt and sick. All right, Big Luscious. What is up, Big Luscious? Welcome back. Olave or Pierce?
Definitely going Olave here. Miami, not the worst matchup, but they're better against the run than they are against the pass. The 49ers are also better against the run versus the pass, but that's good for Olave because he's a receiver. So we saw last week, Dortch, Hopkins, they had nice games against the Niners. You can throw on them. I'm going to go Olave.
Yeah, go Olave as well. And then someone else is always here. Rise above anything. You flexing Pirine, J-Rob, or Pickens?
Out of this group, I'm just going to go with Pickens and hope he hits on a big play, scores a touchdown. James Robinson, I mean, it's a good matchup, but what are we really expecting? Like, he's got to fall in the end zone. Pirine, it's a terrible matchup. I'll just gamble with Pickens that he hits on a couple big plays, scores a touchdown.
Yeah, Robinson, no interest for me. Pirine, look, the appeal is what he did last week when he scored. It was receiving touchdowns, right? Now, he's probably not going to do anything or much of it as a runner, but maybe he catches passes out of the backfield. But it's still a good defense against running backs. It's still not guaranteed he's going to score a touchdown. So, yeah, Pickens has the upside, so I'll go with the upside like I always do. Fam first, Kirk or Olave?
I'm going Kirk. Again, like I said, I'm going Kirk. I like his upside this week. I do like Olave, but I just feel like Kirk has more upside, better matchup. I'm going Kirk.
Yeah, these, again, very similar type players. Both could hit on long plays. I'm feeling a little bit better about Kirk's matchup. That's the thing. I'm feeling a little bit better. I do worry that it's kind of a, slugfest there with Baltimore. Just they're not doing a lot on offense. They're kind of better on defense. They're really slowing games down lately, and they really, beginning of the season, remember, they're getting into shootouts, right? They were scoring like that game against Miami. They were putting up points, and then they were giving up a lot, and now it's the opposite, which is better for them, but it's not good for fantasy. But Kirk could always get a ton of targets. I feel just a little bit better about him. And then Connor or Rachaad White.
Oh, man.
Here's the test. I mean, the matchup, again, you go with a number. The matchup is too good to sit Connor. I mean, he's getting almost all the touches, and it's the Chargers.
I know, but the Browns are actually a better matchup than the Chargers. But, man.
Yeah, it's pretty close. Chargers give up more yards per carry, but Browns give up more total fantasy points per game. So they're both terrible run defenses.
I'm like, it was my team. I'm going Rachaad White. I didn't hold Rachaad White for 11 weeks to put him on my bench in week 12 against the Browns when Leonard Fournette is out. Screw it. I'm going Rachaad White. This is what we've all been waiting for. I'm not benching Rachaad White now.
There you go. A man of conviction. I love it. All right. There you go. You heard it. It's Rachaad White. I'm not going against that. All right. Omar Rios. Flexing Burks or Michael Carter?
I'll go with Carter. I'll go with Burks. I know there's always the chance that that Mike White dumps it off to him 10 times, and you regret, he PPRs you to, PPRs your opponent to death. But Burks just has way more upside. I'm going Burks.
Yeah, I'm going Burks too. Again, Carter, you're hoping for a bunch of dump offs. Yeah, that's not really his ceiling. That's more of a guy who maybe could get. Burks could do that in 2 catches. He could probably get as many yards. All right. This is an interesting question. This caught my eye. Kobe Kwong. Why is Tyler Boyd so good?
I don't think Tyler Boyd is bad. I think the problem is, like, he's on a team. Like, let's be real. Jamar Chase is a stud wide receiver, but so is T. Higgins. Like, T. Higgins could be a number 1 wide receiver on almost any other team. Maybe not like the Vikings, but like outside of like maybe like 7 or 8 teams, T. Higgins would be a team's number 1 wide receiver. So he's on a team with 2 number 1 wide receivers. It's just hard, to compete with that. Like, he's always just going to be the 2nd or 3rd or 4th option. So I don't think Boyd is so bad. I think it's just he's on an offense where he's surrounded by so much talent.
He doesn't get targeted last week. It was just only T. Higgins. That's the matchup they liked for whatever reason. And like I said, because I was high on Boyd last week, didn't happen. I'll probably go off this week just to prove you and I wrong. Big Crit, what is good? Welcome back. All right, got a receiver and flex. Got Palmer, Campbell, Christian Watson, Pacheco, our guy Rachaad White, Kyren, or Pirine.
I'm going to say Rachaad White's in your flex for sure. And then I know I said you ride Watson till the wheels fall off, but I like Palmer more than Watson this week. It's not like Palmer doesn't have any upside, and he's got a way higher floor than Watson. So I'm going Palmer with Rachaad White in your flex.
I am also Palmer. Pretty safe play there. I don't take a chance on Watson if I have Palmer, and of course, Rachaad White. Not just because he's Rachaad White, but because he's the best option. All right, and then we got Casey Warner, start 3.5 PPR league. White, Connor, Cooper, and Allen.
Jeez.
Man, who do you sit there? Is this one of those cases where then you say, okay, maybe I'll sit Cooper here because the other guys just.
That's what I was thinking. Like, I don't want to sit Cooper, but look, if the weather is going to be bad, you don't need to chance it. Just start White, Connor, and Keenan and bench Cooper. I think that's the play here.
Yeah. Again, White and Connor just such smash spots, and they have the backfields basically to themselves mostly. And then Keenan Allen, just definitely a higher floor than Cooper. I mean, are we really going to get another 300+ yard game from Jacoby Brissett and Cooper goes off?
I mean, it is a tough matchup too. That's the thing. It's not like he's going against some, lousy secondary here. It's just more like you can't bench Cooper because he has that winning upside. But I think in this case you can sit him because you have 3 other really good options.
Agree. So sit Cooper, start the other 3. Firearm addict. Amari and Devontae for the Sun God and Monty. Got a trade question. I mean, you're trading 2 receivers. I'm assuming you need a running back. If Monty is going to be your starting RB2.
Yeah, that's what it comes down to me for. If Montgomery's going to be your RB2 every single week, and right now you're playing guys like, I don't know, Latavius Murray's going to be your RB2 or something like that, then I do this because you're not really taking a hit at wide receiver. Like Amari and Amon-Ra to me are pretty close rest of the season. I like Devonta, but if you need that running back help, you got to do what you got to do. So yeah, if you need a running back, take Amon-Ra and Montgomery.
Yeah, and look, if Devonta is like your 4th receiver, you're really not starting him, or you're flexing him sometimes. Again, if this helps your team, do it. I feel I totally just had deja vu. I feel like we had this question like a week or 2 ago from the same user. I swear. Maybe I'm wrong. Tell me if I'm not. All right, Miguel Cordovez, Pittman or Godwin?
I'm going Pittman. I kind of view these guys similar right now, unfortunately, where they're both just high floor, low ceiling guys. Need a touchdown to have even a kind of a ceiling. But Pittman going against the Steelers, I just feel, like I said, I think his floor is 15 points this week. It's hard for me to see him scoring less than that. So I'm going Pittman.
Yeah, I can see Pittman and Godwin easily matching points, with Pittman having the upside for more and Godwin probably not. I mean, look, if Rachaad White gets as many points as we think, there's no room for the other guys anyways. And then we have, this is your this is like your handle when you're playing Texas Hold'em, right? Online.
Yeah,
it's Chris all in.
It's kind of how I play fantasy. I just go all in, and sometimes it works, and sometimes you crash and burn.
Like you win if no risk, no reward, right? No risk,
That's
no
right.
biscuit. I like the Jabba the Hutt avatar too. I'm not sure if that has to do with this, but anyways, need 1 running back. You got Gus Edwards, Cordero Patterson, Kyron Williams, Cam Akers, Brian Robinson, or Deontay Foreman. A lot of guys we have not talked about yet.
I was hoping there'd be one easy one in here, like Rachaad White or Jeff Wilson. Okay, that's easy. We'll just move on. But there's not an easy one in here. Oh man, I guess I got to go Patterson. At least he has a chance to score. Like Robinson, no. Akers, no. Kyron, no. If Gus was healthy, I might go Gus because it's Jacksonville, but we don't know how healthy he is. We don't know how much he's going to play. I think I'm going Patterson out of these guys.
It's either Patterson or Foreman. I mean, look, Gus, questionable, hasn't played, can't risk it. I don't want anything to do with this Rams offense. And then Brian Robinson's just been bad. I mean, I know the matchup is good, but he's not even the lead anymore. It's Gibson. So I wish I could say it's Foreman. He's been really good, but now is Sam Darnold? Am I right? Sam Darnold's quarterback?
Yeah, Sam Darnold.
I'll go Cordero. At least he's got some touchdown upside, although it's not even a good matchup for him. So
no.
And then look, this is what happens when you get both your starting running backs are hurt. This is what happens. But guys, this is why we also say, and you smartly, obviously, if you've been using the waiver wire, you can never have too many running backs. You can stash. You don't need to be at this point of the season holding a backup kicker, a second defense. If you have a good quarterback, you don't need a backup quarterback. You know what I mean? So you can always stream.
You don't even need to be holding wide receivers that have like no ceiling, like those guys, like like DJ Moore, like guys I'm just saying, like guys that are never, because you should be at this point of the season. If you're competitive and you're in it, you should have a strong enough team that like DJ Moore is just going to be on your bench, and you're better off like grabbing somebody like a handcuff with more upside,
Yeah, and
I'm actually impressed. This guy that Chris lost Mixon and Fournette, and he only needs one of these guys. That means he must have another good running back too. So I'm impressed.
That's true. Yeah, exactly. All right, let's keep it going here. We got Anthony Vieda. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. So here's the question: need to win. All right, Aaron Jones or Jeff Wilson?
I'm going Jeff Wilson. I don't care. Like, it's too good of a matchup. No Raheem Mostert, probably. I'm going Jeff Wilson.
Yeah, going Jeff Wilson. Again, if you have, we said like Etienne, if you have a Kenneth Walker, you don't bench those guys for Jeff Wilson. Jones is really close here, but you're right. Jones could do that. He can go off or he could do nothing. All right, let's see. Where are we at here? Again, guys, bear with us. I know we're behind, but we're catching up. We will get to all the super chats for sure. And we are now at Dale Clark. Pick 2, Olave, Cooper, Latavius, Michael Carter, Palmer, and Njoku.
I got to go Olave and Cooper, but I will say if we hear again, like tomorrow morning, like the weather's going to be really bad, crazy winds, going to be tough to pass the ball, then I would go to Palmer over Cooper. So Olave and Cooper is my top 2 choices, but then Palmer would be my pivot if we hear that the weather is going to be awful in Cleveland.
Yeah, if we're just picking flex here, I can pretty easily rule out Murray and Carter and Njoku. It's going to be those receivers. Olave has the most upside. Go with him, and then between Cooper and Palmer. So I'll go with what you said. I think Cooper's too hard to bench. Palmer is close with Palmer. But all right, and then Seth Peterson, Rachaad White, Kenneth Walker. Well,
no, I've already said I think Kenneth Walker has overall top scoring running back upside this week against. We talk about how bad the Raiders are against the pass. They're even worse against the run, I think. Like, they're terrible against the run. Kenneth Walker is a monster. I love Rachaad White, but can't bench him over Walker. Like, are you flexing a not so great wide receiver or something that you could play Rachaad White over? But you can't start him over Kenneth Walker.
Cannot bench Kenneth Walker. And we mentioned those run defenses that you have to stream against. Why everyone's going crazy about Jeff Wilson. Texans, of course, the worst. Chargers and Browns basically right there, vying for second worst. Right below them, fourth worst is the Raiders. All right, so Raiders are doing a good job of being equally bad against the run and the pass. All right, and Jeffrey Lee knows how to get on air here. Definitely smash the thumbs up. Agree with that. All right, half PPR. Let's pick 2. Rachaad White, DPJ, Perrine, Wilson.
It's White and Wilson. White and Wilson.
White and Wilson. Let's stay consistent here. It's White and it's Wilson.
The 2 guys you didn't play for 10 weeks. You're now starting week 12.
Rachaad White or CMC?
Okay. All right, look.
I mean,
just when I thought nobody was higher on Rachaad White than me, Hamad comes in and says, "Hold my beer. Hold my beer, Chris. Hold my beer." No, I can't bench CMC for Rachaad White. Wait, he got 7 targets, like 7 receptions last week. They line him like, we always hear this talk like, oh, they're going to use Tony Pollard as a wide receiver. Oh, they're going to use this running back, and they never do. The 49ers actually use Christian McCaffrey as a wide receiver. They were lining them up out wide. They were lining them up in the slot last week. He was actually running routes as a wide receiver. catching passes. Yeah, cannot bench CMC. No.
Cannot bench CMC, period, ever. Again, as high as you are on Rashad White this week, come on, you can't bench CMC.
Yeah, can't.
All right. Gobamix. All right. Bench one, Etienne, Jeff Wilson, Debo, or Connor. Is this where you take the injury into account and bench Debo?
I'm gonna bench Debo for two reasons: the injury, and again, prior to last week, what has Debo done this year? Why are we still looking at Debo as like this top 10, top 15, have to start him wide receiver? He has not been that good this year. He was okay. It was Arizona. CMC, Kittle, Debo, and Ayuk had great games. Is it because they're all so good, or is it maybe because they played Arizona? You know what I mean? Like, I'm easily benching Debo here.
Yeah, and look, Debo might play. Some people are saying, yeah, he's going to be fine. Doesn't mean you have to start him. The only guy I might consider is Etienne, but no, I'll bench Debo also. You got some good options there, so you are fine. And then we have Pedro Nevares. Which two to start? Hollywood, Keenan, Montgomery.
Well, I'll sit Hollywood here. I won't risk it coming off injury, maybe being limited. Love Keenan this week. Montgomery is not the best matchup for Montgomery, but we know he's going to get so much work. He's going to get goal line opportunities, especially now he doesn't have to worry about Fields vulturing him probably. So I won't risk it with Hollywood coming back from injury. I'll just go Keenan and Montgomery.
Yeah, Monty could be a really solid start this week. Again, this is a case where having a back quarterback helps the running back because he's not a running quarterback. Monty will actually have to run the ball. No Khalil Herbert. Jets are good on defense, but better on pass defense generally. He'll still get receptions. I really like Monty a lot this week. So, yeah, Keenan and Montgomery. And then Antonio Gibson has entered the chat.
Oh.
Not kidding.
He doesn't even ask about himself? I guess he knows. I guess Antonio Gibson knows I am scoring more points than these guys. So.
There you go. Who scores more fantasy points, Tyreek Hill or Kelsey and Hopkins?
I think Kelsey and Hopkins are going to score more. I mean,
yeah.
Like, I like Tyreek Hill, but man, that's you going against Kelsey and Hopkins. Like, I think Kelsey and Hopkins scores more than Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, I mean, I love Ty Hill, and this week is a smash spot. Hopkins could match Tyreek Hill himself, honestly, this week. And then Kelsey, yeah, you got to go Kelsey and Hopkins. And I hope you're not asking this because you have Hill and your opponent has Kelsey and Hopkins. If so, yeah, we'll see.
But, I mean, do you not have, like, you only get to start Hill and he gets to start Kelsey and Hopkins? Did you guys make, like, a side bet? Like,
yeah.
I'll only start Tyreek Hill and you start Kelsey and Hopkins and that's it? Like, I mean.
It's always an interesting question. Who scores more? Like, I want you just trying to gauge, like, everyone's. Anyways. All right.
I've had people do that, like, where if you have, like, a matchup where, like, let's say you're both, like, locked into the playoffs and you can't increase your standings, and then guys like, hey, let's just play our kickers this week. And I'm like, nah, I'm not playing kickers. Yeah.
Who knows? All right, Brian Forth. Standard flex. Pacheco, Juju, Olave, Kirk. A little bit of an underdog. So I guess we're looking for upside. Even in standard, I don't go Pacheco.
No. I think especially in standard, I'm going Kirk. I mean, it's close between Kirk and Olave. I'll say that. But I just like Kirk a little bit more this week. I think he has touchdown upside. I think he has yards. I mean, Olave does too. It's really, especially in standard, it's really close between those guys. But I think I like Kirk just a little bit more. But it's really close between those two.
Okay, well, I just saw this. This is going to completely change things.
Okay.
To add to that question, White or any of those others?
I mean, in standard scoring, I might go White now. I might go White because it's hard to bench a running back in standard scoring, right? And look, with no Leonard Fournette there, he's got touchdown upside now. I think I go White. In standard scoring, I'm going White.
I think it has to be White. Exactly. If it's non-PPR, that really eats into especially a guy like Kirk, who is, benefits from being a target hog most of the time. That's who I probably would go. But yeah, I'd just go White if those are your choices. All right, welcome back to Blair Davis, also with
Blair?
us each and every week. All right, Moreau or Juwan Johnson?
Again, I like Moreau this week. It's a great matchup for him. He's playing every snap. Juwan Johnson, okay, maybe he keeps scoring touchdowns, but it's going to end eventually. Like with Kmet, it's going to end eventually. I'm going to go Moreau.
You think it's going to end? No, it'll probably end at some point. It's got to end at some point. Yeah, and this is not the week. Terrible matchup. In fact, I know actually the Saints defense is the best against tight ends, but the 49ers are top 5 against tight ends. I'll go Foster Moreau. I mean, again, play the matchups. These are both kind of fringe guys. Marcos Cardozo. Got Etienne and Jeff Wilson. Got Diggs and Waddle. So who do you flex? Olave, Devontae Smith, Pickens, or Pacheco in half?
I can definitely go Olave here. I do like Smith, but again, Smith is one of those guys you don't ever know what you're going to get. Could be a great game. It could be a down game. Pickens, tough matchup. Pacheco, tough matchup. Olave, especially in half PPR where like Devonta Smith probably needs to catch a bunch of passes. Olave can, on 5 passes, can put up a good game. So I'm going to go Olave.
Going to go Olave also. Pretty good team, though. You're pretty set.
Yeah,
Diggs came through. All right, Goomba needs a PPR with Lenny hurt. Desperation suggestion. Well, don't know who's available for you, but who are your top desperation running backs for this week?
Latavius Murray, Michael Carter if he's out there. I mean, James Robinson, if you're really desperate, it is the Bears. They're terrible against the run. Like, if you're really desperate, James Robinson. I mean, it's hard to get desperate at running back because they're all on teams. You know what I mean?
Typically, yeah. Maybe Kenyon Drake is out there for you. He's still a starter. Gus is questionable. And then, I mean, it depends how deep you want to get, but there was somebody else. I'm trying to remember.
Let me see here.
I doubt Antonio Gibson is probably not available. But
yeah, he's. Let me look at like some guys that aren't very high rostered here that I think, Jerick McKinnon.
True.
He's the pass catching back in Kansas City. They might not be able to run the ball. He could get some dump offs. Let's see who else. I'm trying to look at guys that aren't.
I mean,
rostered. I mean, if you're
super desperate, you could do like I had to do is pick up Keyshawn Vaughn in one league.
Yeah.
Or you could try roll the dice and guess which Raiders running back is going to pick up the slack if Jacobs is hurt. But again, that's really risky. You could go with like Amir Abdullah because he'll catch a couple of passes. That's getting deep. All right. Michael Kobus, welcome back. Full PPR, we got Dulcich, Kmet, or somebody off waivers.
Well, if Fields is out, do I really want Kmet anymore? I don't know. I'll say if Fields plays, I'll still go Kmet. But if Fields is out, then I'll probably go Dulcich. But I'd probably want to see who's on waivers.
Yeah, it depends. I mean, look, maybe Gerald Everett is out there because he's missed the last couple of weeks, and could be he was dropped because he didn't go in IR. Foster Moreau, we've talked about as being a really good option. Those would be guys you could play. Otherwise, yeah, I'd stick with Kmet. All right, C-Mac. Pickens or Hollywood?
I'll go Pickens here again. Like, I'm not super high on Pickens this week. It's a tough matchup, but he seems to have the better connection with Pickett. He has the chances to score. Again, Hollywood's not a guy I want to start if I don't have to. I'd rather wait and see. And look, if he goes off on my bench, you know what I'm saying to myself? Sweet. Now I have Hollywood Brown rest of the season. I'm not going to get all upset and be like, oh, I benched Hollywood Brown. I'm going to say, awesome. I have a healthy Hollywood Brown for the rest of the season. I'm great. But let me see it first.
That's an optimistic way to look at it. I like that. A little more positivity in fantasy football. Guys all getting tilted about their bench points. Like, look, be glad that your bench actually scored points.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll go Pickens too. We don't know what we're going to get with Hollywood. We don't know what we're going to get with Kyler Murray. He's missed a couple of weeks. His hamstring might bother him. I mean, that offense looked terrible last week. So, not a sure thing. All right, and then we got Trone Force. Need 3. Etienne, White, Cooper, and Godwin.
Well, it's definitely the first 3 for me. But again, if we hear like tomorrow morning that it's going to be a tough game to throw the ball in, especially if it's going to be tough to throw it down the field, right? Like, because Cooper's not a guy who's going to catch, slants, and he's more of a going to run down the field route. So then maybe you can bench Cooper for Godwin.
Yeah, I'll go with the first 3 also. Godwin, again, has just been kind of a floor guy. So go with those first 3. And then we have another Pierre Aguilera. White or Jones? We've answered this already.
Yeah, I'm going Rachaad White. I'm playing Rachaad White.
Yeah. I mean, it's close. Tough to bench Jones, but go with White. All right. And then we have... Here we go. Mark Cleveland had a trade vetoed in our league today. That's just not right. I mean, look,
right.
we could go on and on about that. It's not right. But anyways, it was Swift and Judy for Scary Terry.
Why was this vetoed? Because Swift is not doing anything and Judy's hurt? What if the person who's trading, what if the person who is getting Swift and Judy is in first place, has some stacked wide receiver room, never plays Scary Terry, right? Because he's got drafted Jefferson, then got Tyreek Hill in the second, and then, got T. Higgins in the third or something, and is never playing Scary Terry, and says, you know what, I'm going to gamble on Swift getting back to being what he could be when it matters in the playoffs because I know I'm going to be in the playoffs, and then it gets vetoed? Like, what? Why? I mean, unless the last place team traded Scary Terry to another team that's fighting for a playoff spot, and the last place team has no chance, okay, then maybe, because it's okay, the last place team isn't waiting around for DeAndre Swift to become DeAndre Swift again. You know what I mean? But this should not be vetoed. Come on.
There's nothing fundamentally unfair. I mean, come on. Was Jerry Jeudy like a stud this year? No, he's kind of a throne at this point. And Swift, again, he's not even a must start week to week. So again, vetoes should only happen if it was obvious collusion, it's collusion, or if it's so lopsided that it really shifts the balance. Or if there's a team that's in last place. We had somebody last week tell us, right? Somebody who's last place was basically just trading all their players away, just for the hell of it. It's okay, then you're done. Okay. But yeah, vetoes should not happen. This is a good example of why vetoes just don't need to exist. All right, Jinx Vang. 1 receiver, 1 flex. Jamar Chase, well, you can scratch him off. Not playing. Debo, Kirk, Etienne, Wilson.
Oh, man. Well, you can't bench Etienne. So I think Etienne has to be your flex. I'm going to go Kirk over Debo. I know a lot of people probably don't agree with me, but look at Debo's game logs. It's not been good this year. And now he might have a hamstring issue. And he wasn't even good before CMC. Now there's even more mouths to feed. I'm going Etienne and Kirk.
I know, it's you got Jeff Wilson there. It's so tempting. Everyone thinks he's just gonna just smash and destroy. Look, he might outscore Etienne. I could see it happening, but I'm not going to take the chance and bench Etienne. I'm going to keep Etienne in there, and I'll go Kirk also. Just because Debo scored twice last week doesn't mean I'll do it this week. And then Robert with another one before helping with tight end. Now let's help with defense. Eagles or Jets?
I think I like the Jets a little bit more this week. Against the Bears, especially if Fields is out, you gotta like the Jets this week. They're a good defense. They get pressure. I like the Eagles too. They have a good matchup as well, but I think I like the Jets just a little bit more.
Yeah, I think again, assuming Fields doesn't play, which we think he won't. If Fields doesn't play, you got to go with the Jets. Look, Aaron Rodgers has at least looked better the last couple of weeks. He's looking a little bit more like Aaron Rodgers. So, not a bad spot for the Eagles, but I will go Jets. Actually, even if Fields does play, look, Fields, remember he threw that pick six the other day. He will take sacks. That's kind of the thing, I think I go Jets either way. All right, and catching up here is a good time to remind everyone a couple of things. We've been on for almost 2 hours. We're going to still stay on, and we're catching up on all the super chats. A couple of things I want to remind you of. Number one, hit the like button, hit subscribe. And if you hit the notification bell, you'll always know as soon as our videos come out. We come out with stuff pretty much every day. And we go on live Saturday night, Tuesday night, Sunday night, including Sunday morning with our patrons. If you want to know about that, a lot of people, we appreciate the super chats. If you want to become a patron, it's patreon.com/fantasyfootballendgame. The link is down below. For the price of the super chat, you can get everything we offer on a monthly basis. Well worth it. All right. Let's keep going with another one from Pedro Nevarez. Okay, start two. Allen, Monty, Hollywood.
Yeah, again, I feel like we had this one. I went very close to it, but I like Allen and Montgomery enough this week that I won't risk it with Hollywood. Possibly being limited, first game back. I'll just go Allen and Montgomery.
Same here, going Allen, pretty safe floor. Again, like Montgomery quite a bit this week, so we'll go with those first two. Kareem Adatia, need one receiver in half PPR. Christian Watson, Elijah Moore, first time we've heard him, Treylon Burks, or DPJ.
This might be our first Elijah Moore question in like a month. Sad. I'm gonna go Watson here again. Like I like Burks, but when you're talking about two guys like this who, have upside but have risk, give me the one who's on fire right now with Christian Watson. Maybe this, like I said, maybe this is the week where the wheels fall off. It's gonna happen at some point. Maybe it'll be this week, maybe not. But until then, give me Christian Watson.
It's going to be one of the rookies. They both have high upside. I'll go Watson. And I get why more you might be interested now because, of course, quarterback change. Look, last year when Mike White had his one shining moment of glory, Elijah Moore was one of the leading receivers because he was actually on the field there. Maybe some connection there. I'm not counting on it. I'm just saying, I get it. I get why maybe Elijah Moore has some.
The problem is they got to put him on the field more first. Mike White might want to throw him the ball, but if he's not on the field, Mike White might still throw him the ball because he's Mike White, but it won't count because he'll be out of bounds. So,
yeah, and he's still Mike White. So
he's still
all right. Austin Lowe, Hollywood, DPJ.
Oh, see, this one's close because I'm not super high on DPJ this week. It's not a great matchup for him. I think for this one I might risk it with Hollywood.
Yeah, not crazy about him this week, meaning Peoples-Jones. It's not really a great matchup with Tampa. I would take the shot here. I think Hollywood will get some action at least. So, and then Leon, Sutton, Palmer, Watson, Pickens, Hollywood, Foreman. Got to pick two of those.
Palmer's the one that jumps out to me as like the guy I'm definitely starting. And then it's between Sutton and Watson for me, and it comes down to, do you want the high floor but the low ceiling, or do you want the high ceiling but the low floor?
Pair of the two.
Yeah.
You go all ceiling and go like Pickens, Watson.
Well, but the problem is, like, I'm not that excited about Pickens this week. Like, I just like Palmer to me has a good floor and a good ceiling. So anytime I have a guy like that, I'm gonna play him, right? Like, I don't expect Palmer to go for 30 again like he did last week, but at least we know the ceiling is there, and we know he probably has a pretty high floor because he's the wide receiver too. in a good matchup against Arizona, who we saw basically gave up last week and will probably give up again this week. I think I'm going to go Palmer and Watson. I know Sutton is definitely safer than Watson, but I'd rather have the potential boom of Watson. I'm going to go Palmer and Watson.
So when I look at this, like it's PPR, I can scratch Foreman off pretty easily. Since you have decent options, I'll kind of forgo Hollywood out of this group. Palmer's the one I'd say, yeah, I'll start Palmer, and then it's between Watson and Sutton. So it's like you said, ceiling or floor. I'll go Watson also because Sutton is just that's all he is floor. He's just not getting in the end zone because the Broncos aren't getting in the end zone.
Yeah, sad.
Latavius Murray from the 1 yard line. All right, and it's Roberto. Finally, Roberto, it took so long. I'm just kidding. All right, yes, stay spicy. You wanted the spiciest trade offers. It's always Roberto.
Yes.
And I agree. Join the Discord and the Patreon community. I don't think you'll regret it. All right, Mark Evans. Superflex. Here we go. I love Superflex leagues. Need two. Davis Mills, Ryan Leaf, Todd Blackledge going against
versus the 86 Giants. Well,
you need two of those?
I think I'm going to go Davis Mills because at least he has a chance if, like, Kyle Allen gets hurt, he has to play again. And then I'll probably go Ryan Leaf because he's not playing the 86 Giants.
I don't know. I'm going to go Blackledge. I feel like Leaf could get me negative points and then get tossed at halftime. So
it's true.
I think Mills is the floor play and Blackledge is just not Ryan Leaf.
Okay.
That's all I'll say. At least Tony Eason wasn't an option.
Yeah, I think that was, I think we're benching Tony. We got to bench Tony Eason now.
For sure. Against the 86 or 85 Bears. All right. We had that last week, I think it was.
Worst stat line I've ever seen.
All right. So here we go. Welcome back to Bear Camp Cabin Rentals, one of our most loyal chat members.
Yes.
All right. If Fields, by the way, if we ever do have like you know what? I have just decided now. When we do our end game leagues next year, which we're gonna do a whole bunch of them, I think I thought when we do like a live draft, like an event, we should be in California. But now I'm thinking, no, we're just gonna go to Bear Camp Cabin Rentals and we're all gonna meet up there. I think it's in Tennessee.
Yeah, let's do it.
To everybody, shouldn't it be?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. All right. If Fields doesn't play, would you play Rachaad White, Cordell Patterson, or DPJ?
So I assume it's super flex, and I definitely Rachaad White. Definitely Rachaad White. I might play Rachaad White even if Fields does play because again, I'm a little nervous that they're not going to let Fields run because like they're 3-7, he's their future. You don't want this guy taking a hit and really damaging that shoulder. Like you're not playing for anything, so I worry that even if he plays, they just turn him into a pocket passer again, and that's no good. So I'm going to go White.
Yeah, not feeling great about Fields this week. Like, not feeling great about him playing, and even if he does play, so definitely Rachaad White again. All right, appreciate that. Raheem with another one. Should he be worried rest of season with Tua, or start him? You also have Murray. Well, there you go. There's that. I'm one of them who has Tua.
I think when Tua gets into those tough matchups, you're probably going to want to play Murray. But the nice thing about having both of them is you can play the matchups, right? So if Tua has a tough matchup and Murray has a good matchup, you could just play Murray or vice versa. But I don't think Tua is going to be a complete bust because, I mean, look, Kirk Cousins just had a nice game against New England and, Jared Goff had a pretty good game. Right now, look, we thought Buffalo was going to be a terrible matchup. Buffalo's defense is decimated, and they may have just lost Von Miller for the season. Like, that defense is destroyed. Like, so by the time he plays Buffalo, they might not even be a good defense anymore.
It's true. I mean, a couple of things. Remember, first of all, Miami did beat Buffalo earlier this year. And like you said, Buffalo's defense, the way, I was talking about worry about their schedule, late season, but that was a couple of weeks ago. Buffalo's defense is not the most dominant defense anymore. So, yeah, but still, with Murray, it's going to be a weekly kind of a toss-up thing. Right now, you're good with Tua. It's not like Murray's been dominant. All right, pick one. Keenan, Godwin, Lockett, Rachaad White.
Yeah, like I said earlier, it's close between Keenan and Rachaad White for me, but I just feel like Keenan is in such a good spot this week. And you got to think he's going to be playing close to the, every snap now that he's had a full game and he survived and his hamstring's still intact and he's running. So I got to go Keenan slightly over Rachaad White.
All right, there you go. Yeah, it's between those two guys. I don't know, Anthony, if this didn't say if it's full PPR. If it is full PPR, I think you have to give the edge to Keenan. All right, and then Goomba. Best options. Okay, so answering from before, who's available at running back? The answer is not much.
I guess I go Gio and hope he's the pass catching-ish back, but the problem is Rachaad White is a great pass catcher. But maybe Gio gets some run on like third downs. Maybe he can catch a few passes. I mean, if these are your choices, I'm going Gio.
Maybe they use him near the goal line in the red zone. Yeah. Huntley, I think, is banged up too. I want to say he's questionable.
Yeah, he's questionable. But even still, he's the number 3 option on Atlanta.
Yeah.
And they're going against Washington, who's got one of the best run defenses in the NFL. So, and he doesn't catch. He's not going to catch any passes. Spiller is just barely used. And they just activated Josh Kelly off IR. So now that backfield might be getting a little more congested. So,
yeah, I'd just take a shot on Gio. If that's really all your options, just go with Gio. All right, what's up, Johnny? Johnny Camarena is always with us as well. Fields or Jimmy G?
I think what time do the 49ers play later?
Oh, the 49ers, yeah, they play the afternoon game.
Yeah, so you can wait and see. I don't think I can bench Fields for Jimmy G if they play him. I don't think they're going to play Fields, so I don't think it's going to matter. But I feel like if they're playing him, it wouldn't make any sense to me to play him and then just have him stand in the pocket because we already know that doesn't work. He can't play that way. He's not a pocket passer. So to me, it's like if they're playing him, they feel okay with him running. So I'd probably still go Fields. But I really don't think Fields is going to play. I think the decision is going to be made for you and you're going to play Jimmy G.
Yeah, agree. Again, just because Jimmy G had a big week last week doesn't mean he will this week. But Fields definitely will have more upside. If Fields actually plays, you can play him. But if not, be ready to pivot. And then with Mixon out, would you start Pacheco or B-Rob?
I know we've been down on Pacheco, but I got to start Pacheco. I mean, what are we hoping for from Brian Robinson? He just had the best matchup a running back can have and ran for 3.8 yards per carry, which I think is his season high. You know what I mean? He doesn't catch any passes. No, I cannot start Brian. Maybe, Pacheco at least has a chance to score. They'll get near the goal line. He'll get the carries. He's looked good at least. I got to go Pacheco.
Yeah, go Pacheco in this case. And then pick 3. Adams, Sun God, Sutton, Olave, Pickens, Watson. I mean, definitely
I'm going to assume you already played Sun God.
Yeah.
So out of these 3, I'm going Adams and Olave.
Yeah. I mean, you can't ever bench Adams. And then Sun God, you should have already played him. So the 3rd pick would be Olave. All right, here we go. Mazzella Mafia. Hoping we had a good turkey day. Definitely did. Definitely been enjoying turkey ever since. Who do I flex? Chubb or White?
I don't care. I'm going White. Call me a hater. Call me whatever you want. Chubb's in another tough matchup this week. We've seen it the last 2 weeks. Needs that touchdown. We're kind of seeing the Nick Chubb we all thought we drafted. Well, not we all, but kind of the Nick Chubb that we've seen his entire career, right? A good running back, but not an elite one. As far as fantasy, he's elite in real life. Don't start flaming me in the comments. I know whenever I say that, people get so this defensive. He's elite in real life. He's good in fantasy. I'm going White here.
It is a really tough matchup for Chubb. Again, Tampa, one of the better run defenses. So it could be, one of his non-huge weeks. You never know with Chubb. So hard to sit him, but the numbers kind of point to White. Now, the other question that says Derrick Henry and Jacobs starting. With Jacobs being questionable, do you put Chubb instead of Jacobs? Or
I
if
might.
Jacobs plays, you play him?
I mean, usually I would say if Jacobs plays, you play him. But in this case, since you have Chubb and White, I might just play Henry, Chubb, and White and not risk it with Jacobs possibly being limited, possibly re-aggravating the calf during the game. I might just go Henry, Chubb, and White.
Yeah, just because of that injury, maybe just safer with Chubb. So you could always do that. And then Steady Vic, Connor or White?
Look, we had this one earlier, and I said it. I like Connor a lot this week. Look, if I knew Leonard Fournette was out, Rachaad White would have been on the Boom video over Connor, or maybe they both would have been on the Boom video. I don't know, but we didn't know the status of Leonard Fournette until really today, right? But I didn't hold Rachaad White for 11 weeks for him to finally get his chance against a bottom 2 run defense, only to bench him for James Conner. No, I'm rolling. I don't care. I'm rolling with Rachaad White.
There you go. You heard it. Rachaad White, both in smash spots. So you could be fine either way. Michael with another one. Let's assume good weather in Cleveland, or at least decent. DPJ or Hollywood. Kind of had this already.
Yeah, I still go Hollywood just because I don't like DPJ's matchup this week. I don't see him having a big game. I'd rather just risk it with Hollywood.
Yeah. DPJ, just don't see a huge upside for him in this matchup. So weather isn't really even the issue here. In this case, if Hollywood's a full go, which it sounds like he is, go Hollywood. And then Lamar needs 2. Olave, Najee, DPJ, Watson, or Garrett Wilson.
Well, this is definitely the first 2 for me. I know I've talked a lot about Watson, keep riding him, but when you have 2 better players like Olave and Najee, then I can bench Watson. So I'm going Olave and Najee here. Like Najee this week with no Jaylen Warren. Going with those guys.
Yeah, we haven't had a Garrett Wilson question yet, probably because we know the Jets offense is not exactly chugging along. Mike White, sure, it's different. Doesn't mean it'll be better. Like we'll see. Let's remember, Mike White was benched after that amazing game he had, then was terrible, and he was benched for a reason. There's a reason he was the 3rd string quarterback this year. All right, so Garrett Wilson, you can't. Watson has some upside, but I would go with the first 2 for sure. So Olave and Najee. Okay, Craig Harrison. I need 2 receivers in a flex, must win. All right, let's get this right. Christian Watson, Michael Pittman, Godwin, Antonio Gibson, Rachaad White.
All right. Well, for the wide receivers, I'm going Pittman and Godwin. I don't think I can bench those guys for Watson. Just too risky. They're both in good spots, Pittman and Godwin. We know they're going to get tons of targets. I'm going Pittman and Godwin, and then for my flex, I'm definitely going Rachaad White.
Yeah, Watson does have that ceiling, but it's a risk. You don't know. At least Godwin. Look at your must win. I think Godwin is a pretty safe bet here. I mean, it is a good matchup for him too. Maybe he does have a big. Maybe he actually scores a touchdown. Who knows? Go crazy. But look, love Pittman this week. Godwin, I think I'll go with him over Watson and definitely Rachaad White. And on the other league, Sutton or Devontae.
I'm gonna go Devonta. I mean, again, Sutton's fine. He's got that floor, but Smith has more of the upside with a decent floor. I'm going to go with Smith.
Yeah, I just can't get excited about any Broncos, honestly. I mean, come on. At least I'll take a shot with Devontae. He can make a big play. Sutton is kind of like a less exciting version of Chris Godwin.
Yes, sadly.
All right, Christian Molek, Keenan Allen, or James Conner?
Oh, this one is so close. I think I still got to go Keenan, though. Just like what I talked about with Rachaad White. Keenan in such a good spot. And again, if not for that fumble, we're talking about a 14-point game last week when he only played 60% of the snaps. Now you got to think he's going to be 80, 90% of the snaps. It's another good matchup for him. I don't see how I just don't see how he scores less than 15 in PPR, unless he gets hurt, of course, which you could.
Don't jinx him. Don't put that on him. Which is
so I like both these guys a lot. I got to go with Keenan, though.
Being full PPR, give the edge to Keenan Allen. Yeah, line look, guys. We know James Conner's in the smash spot. We know Look, Chris Adam is a boom, and for Chris to pick James Conner is a boom, that tells you something. But it doesn't mean you have to start him, no questions asked. Keenan Allen is also in a great spot. So it's close, but I think PPR, you got to give the edge to Keenan. Like the Jeans wants to know Hollywood over Mooney. Yeah, you can do that.
Yeah, definitely. Mooney in a terrible spot this week against the Jets, and maybe no Fields. Yeah, definitely will play Hollywood.
Mooney, look, we don't do the busts anymore because people don't like to hear who's going to bust on their team. But if we were, I would put Darnell Mooney on there. You cannot start him this week.
No.
You can't, like, at all. Pack King from Canada. I need a win to keep my playoff hopes alive. All right. No pressure, but you have to get this right. Pick 2 running backs. Etienne, Jeff Wilson, Rachaad White, Kamara, and Kenan Walker. You got some good choices there.
I mean, it's tough to bench Rachaad White and Jeff Wilson, but when you have Etienne and Kenneth Walker and you can only start 2, I think you have to bench them. Just can't bench those guys. Can't bench them.
It's funny, out of that group, I think we both say Kamara would be last. You can easily
say
exactly.
This week he's last.
I have to start Kenneth Walker.
Yeah.
Look, if you feel like you have to get that ceiling, and I don't know if your opponent, what it looks like. I don't know, man. Etienne, I'm kind of on the fence with. Maybe I take the shot on that upside with Wilson or White. It's just hard with Etienne to bench him, but man, so close. I'll just say Etienne because you don't want to keep him on your bench. But again, I know you're going to be kicking yourself if Jeff Wilson and Rachaad White do go off.
Well, that's the thing. One or both those guys could go off, but I mean, Etienne can go off. So I don't know.
I might be. I don't know. My gut's telling me maybe Etienne should be a little bit lower than Wilson, but man, so close. They're all good choices, though. That's the thing. Yeah. You don't have anybody who's the obvious sit except for Kamara. All right, and then pick a receiver, Juju or Olave.
Gotta go Olave.
Definitely Olave there. That's an easy one. Yeah, I think Kenneth Walker is a running back you have to pick. Again, yeah. I feel like you can't sit Etienne, but man, it would be hard for me to put Wilson and White on the bench for him. So I don't know. I think just do what your gut tells you. Actually, do what Chris tells you. Chris said go Etienne, so go Etienne. All right, let's go to Mazzella Mafia. I think we answered your question earlier. I don't know if you have another one. Let's see if we have another new one here. Yep. Flex, Chubb, Rashad, Keenan. Well, we already kind of answered this. Yeah, we did answer this because he's starting Jacobs and Henry. We said start Henry, and you could maybe switch Jacobs for.
Yeah, but he didn't have Keenan Allen in that one.
Yeah, maybe this is different.
Well, I would start Rashad. Well, I mean, I can't bench Keenan this week. I just can't. I feel like I know Chubb always has that like big playability, but it is a tough matchup.
So flexing Keenan, right? You're flexing Keenan, and so between Jacobs, Rachaad White, and Chubb, who do you go? I might sit Jacobs because of the injury designation. I mean,
yeah, and I'm going to play White. I'm going to play White over Chubb. Right? I just am. I'm going to play him over Chubb. Maybe I'll be wrong. Maybe Chubb will score 2 touchdowns, which is really the only way he hit. Look, okay, I'm done with Chubb. I'm going to play Rachaad White.
All right, there you go. Let's make it easy. You're going to start Rashad over Jacobs, and you're going to flex Keenan. Done. Christopher Castillo, Latavius Murray, or Rachaad White.
Well, this is a much easier one. Rachaad White, definitely Rachaad White.
Because the thing with Murray, it's kind of touchdown or not too much, especially if this is PPR. You're not getting those receptions. You're not getting, a 100-yard game out of him. It's going to be 60, 70 yards, maybe a touchdown, maybe not. Yeah. Rachaad White, I think, could easily do that. Plus, he'll catch some passes, and he has as much touchdown upside. So, all right, we got Dudone with another one. Will Mike White make Moore and Davis relevant? Yes, Corey Davis is back, by the way, if you cared.
He might make Corey Davis relevant because Corey Davis will actually see the field. the problem for Elijah Moore is that he wasn't getting the ball, and then he complained, and now they barely play him. So it's like it's hard to make a guy relevant when the team doesn't put him on the field. So no, I have no hope for Elijah Moore this year. It's crazy. It's just crazy that you have this. You're a team contending. You have this young, really good wide receiver, and you're just like cutting off your nose to spite your face. But that's what the Jets are doing. Which Robert Saleh kind of seems like that kind of guy, right? But he could make Davis relevant. But I'm not like super excited about Davis.
Yeah, let's see it first. Look, I would feel better about these receivers if Joe Flacco was at quarterback, because he actually was putting up yardage, and these receivers were putting up numbers. Remember that the first 3 weeks when we weren't worried about these guys? But no, I'm not gonna hold out too much hope for them. And let's not forget, you mentioned with Saleh, he is a disciple of Kyle Shanahan, who famously hates rookies and young players and is very old school, I think, in his demeanor. So why do you think Elijah Moore was upset earlier in the year? Why do you think these guys are getting benched? And anyways, not counting on. Okay, Anthony Link, Murray or Geno, worried about Murray's hamstring. I think that's a legit worry.
Yeah, I think this week I would go Geno. It's a great matchup for Geno against the Raiders, one of the worst against QBs. I would just play it a little safer and go Geno this week.
Yeah, look, Geno is in a great spot. Again, that Raiders defense, terrible against quarterbacks and receivers and running backs and just everything. So, yeah, look, remember, Kyler Murray not been lighting it up this year. He's had a couple of big games when they basically were coming from behind, in the second half. I wouldn't call it garbage time, but it was like just come from behind game script. Yeah, I'll go Geno. All right. Cruz Garcia, Rachaad White or Higgins?
I feel like this is just a test me. I can't bench Higgins. As much as I like White, I can't bench Higgins this week. Tennessee is an absolute pass funnel defense. They're great against the run, not great against the pass. I mean, look at what Christian Watson did against this defense, last week. Like Higgins just cannot bench Higgins. Got to be Higgins.
You cannot bench Higgins, especially this week. Chase is not back. That secondary does give up points to wide receivers. And look how much he got targeted last week. You can't bench Higgins, which brings a good question. What's up, Tristram? Is in the chat. How does everyone have Rachaad White? Well, it's easy because they watch the fantasy endgame.
Yeah, because we told people. And here's the thing: we always preach this, right? Because here's what usually happens: you draft Rachaad White. You're like, yeah, I got Rachaad White. And then it's week 5, and Rachaad White's barely beginning to use. And what happens? Everybody drops Rachaad White. They're like, get out of here. It's Leonard Fournette. Leonard Fournette's going to be the guy all year long. And we keep saying, no, look, he's going to take over. Just be patient. Be patient. So I don't know. Maybe everybody was actually patient. But also, we've been talking about Rachaad White since day one. So, yeah.
I'm not going to take credit for everyone in the world who has Rachaad White in there, but if you've been watching us, then that's probably why we've been telling you to stash him and add him for a long time and to draft him and to hold him. So good thing you did. Okay, Anthony Link, Wilson, Connor, or White? I got Walker.
Well, I already talked about it. I mean, I like Connor a lot this week, but I'm playing Rachaad White. I'm playing him. Playing Rachaad White.
I mean, look, you have potentially 4 of the top 10 running backs this week. I mean, you got the running back who owns the backfield going against the Chargers, which are bottom 3 run defense. You got the running back going against the Browns, who is a bottom 3 run defense. And you got the guy who's going against the Texans. You cannot possibly have better matchups. So it's almost just like pick your poison, but go White. And then, yes, Mazel Mafi, good point. Watch those pickup videos. That's exactly right. Okay. And Eddie, there you go. Salute to everyone who held him all year. Like maybe you didn't scoop him up in week 5 or 7 or last week. So if you've been holding on to him, big shout out. All right, Anthony, with another one, Sutton or Juju?
I'll go Juju here. Again, he's got Patrick Mahomes, not Russell Wilson. And we saw before the concussion, he was really involved, putting up really good games. He was even getting, was off to a good start in that game before that hit. So Sutton again just has that floor, and that's about it. Give me Juju.
Yeah, I can't get excited about Sutton. Not feeling a huge Juju week. Although, look, Tony is out. Obviously, MVS is just kind of non-existent. And Juju should be fine, but it's not a smash spot for him. But I still take him over Sutton. Like, I can't get excited about Sutton. All right, and here's an important one. Although, Chris, you're not really a gamer per se. This is old school, though. Brutus Butkus wants to know, Super Nintendo or Sega Genesis?
I was Sega Genesis. My best friend had Super Nintendo. I had Sega Genesis, but I was more into like the sports games. Super Nintendo didn't do a good job on the sports games. Sega Genesis had some of the best console sports games ever. NHL 94, Madden 94. Yeah, like I was a Sega guy.
Definitely Genesis. Love the Sega Genesis, and that's exactly it. Look, if you're a sports gamer, that was it. Madden. I mean, obviously, everyone talk about Thanksgiving of Madden. That's where it all started. Not that Genesis was the first platform that Madden was on, but that was the platform where it was the best early on, right? Madden 93 and 94 on the Genesis, that's where it was at. That's where we were always after school, having competition. That's where it was at. Look, I love my Super Nintendo as well, but I'll tell you
NHL 94
made,
like, even people who don't like hockey loved NHL 94. That's got to be one of the best sports games ever made.
Absolutely. And also, look, everyone's all hyped up because college football game is coming back now, finally, a video game. I always remember Bill Walsh college football on the Genesis. That was fun. It wasn't the most realistic, but it was fun. Although, hot take, the best console ever is the Nintendo 64. All right, well, let's move on.
I never played that one, so I'll have to take your word for it.
All right, Martin B. D-Rob, Christian Watkins, DPJ, or Paris Campbell. And we're talking DeMarcus Robinson. That's a name we haven't heard yet. That's an interesting name because he was the number one receiver, but also had over 100 yards, a ton of targets last week. Questionable this week. I mentioned at the very beginning. Sounds like he'll play. He's kind of an intriguing name. Do you like him better than these guys, though?
No, I'm not. I mean, maybe he'll do it again, and I'll be like kicking myself. But I'd rather just roll the dice with Watson again and hope he has another big game. Campbell's fine. I do like Campbell this week. He's got a great matchup. But what are you really getting from Paris Campbell? Outside of a touchdown. So I'll go with Watson.
Yeah, we've said we don't really see a huge path for DPJ to have a big game. Paris Campbell is fine. Watson has more upside. I want to say maybe Robinson is worth a shot, but I wouldn't start him over Watson. So I'll go Watson as well. Which, by the way, guys, so you know, we're actually almost caught up with Super Chats. We're going to keep going for about a half hour more. Again, you got your start sit questions you want to get in. You got about 30 minutes left. Super Chat gets you to the front of the line. We guarantee we'll answer all of those as long as we can. And then also remember, Discord, you can join anytime. It is free. You can join right now. You can join as soon as the show ends. There are questions in there. Of course, so you can become a patron and you can join us tomorrow morning in our group. It's patreon.com/fantasyfootballendgame. And also don't forget, I mentioned this earlier because Adam says, love Najee this week. We got some Najee chatter in the chat here. Some people talking about him. I did mention this. If you caught it earlier, doing a giveaway. We have a Najee Harris autographed jersey. We're going to give it away just for being part of our community, but you have to be, of course, subscribed to this channel in the Discord, and the instructions will follow. I'm not going to give it all away now because we want you to keep with us until the show's over.
Yes.
All right. Let's go to Joe. Just Joe, because Joe's always with us. What's up, Joe? Joseph McHenry, one of our patrons. We'll probably see him tomorrow morning as well. All right. Here's an interesting question. Talking about the Ravens, Lamar or Brady?
I actually like Brady more this week, but again, unless we're hearing that it's going to be really difficult to throw the ball in the wind, in the rain in Cleveland, then I'll go Lamar. But assuming the weather is okay, I actually like Brady more than Lamar this week.
And you probably know already, Joe. You've seen it. Check out the rankings. I got Brady ahead of Lamar. I mean, you guys have seen the stats, right? Since week, was it five or six? Lamar hasn't even been a top 12 fantasy quarterback. all of those receivers are either hurt, banged up, they're questionable, and they're not that great. It's just not the same offense. They've been purposely trying to slow things down. They don't want to get in shootouts. The defense has improved. The offense has not. This is not the same Ravens team. So Lamar is fine, but I actually like Brady better this week with that matchup. And look, maybe Fournette being out, we love Rachaad White. Maybe they actually have to pass the ball more because they feel like they don't have that 1-2 punch anymore. They don't feel like they want to put it all on the running game. So I like Brady. All right, Sparks Mentals. That's a cool little avatar there.
Yeah.
All right.
This must be a music thing. Looks like a
it's like a music thing, I guess. Sparks Mentals. All right, cool. Who can I package a trade for a wide receiver upgrade? Got CMC, Etienne, Jeff Wilson, Pacheco, Rachaad White.
I don't even need to read anymore. Trade Jeff Wilson right now. Like right now. Like go right now, trade him, and then come back and watch the rest of the show because everybody is losing their minds. Everybody wants to play Jeff Wilson this week. Go trade him to a team that needs a running back this week. Get a wide receiver upgrade. Let them have Jeff Wilson. He'll probably smash this week against Houston. You might cry because, oh my gosh, he went off. But then look at the rest of his schedule. He probably won't go off the rest of the season. So, I mean, he does have like that one good matchup against Green Bay, I think, in like week 16. But that's like it. Like, yeah, go trade Jeff Wilson right now.
Yeah. I mean, you got CMC, Etienne, and then you got White. You don't really need Jeff Wilson. So this is the time. This would be the essence of selling high. This is as high as his value will get, most likely. And then I know you mentioned Pacheco twice, probably because you want to trade him. Trade Pacheco too. I would package him. Honestly, his value is probably high now because coming off a 100-yard game, everyone's all on Pacheco. He's fine. But again, you don't need him. Those would be the two guys I would trade. You want to keep Mitchell because, again, you're not getting a lot from him, and then he's your handcuff to CMC.
Yeah.
All right, Les Poole. Let's see. There it is. Oh, there you go. See? He agrees.
I never played it, so I don't know. Never played it.
Well, the good thing is you got emulators now. You don't even have to buy one of those retro systems. You can just do it yourself.
That's true.
GoldenEye, best shooter ever. All right. Happy Paw, Lockett, or Cooper, and then flex the other, or Rachaad White.
Yeah, Rachaad White over Lockett, definitely. I like Cooper over Lockett as well. But again, if tomorrow they're talking like it's going to be really difficult to throw the ball down the field, then I would just go with Lockett. Because I do like Lockett as well this week. I think he could have a big game. So, but if they say like, hey, the weather shouldn't be an issue, because this happens a lot, right? Where it's like, oh my gosh, it's going to be pouring rain and it's going to be like so windy. And then it's like the game and it's like, yeah, it's like blowing 10 miles an hour and not raining, right? So that's kind of how it goes.
Yeah. We know better not to overreact to weather conditions. A lot of people like try to find, oh, got to bench everyone in this game. No, you don't. Again, wind is the biggest thing you have to worry about. Look, a lot of these cold weather games and the snow, like these teams have never played in that before. Of course they have, It's got to be a massive snowstorm, like if they had played in Buffalo the other day, like, yeah, you might be worried, but that didn't happen. So, no, and honestly, we don't even check the weather report until maybe game day because guess what? Weather changes. So a lot of these things people predict from 5 days out, it doesn't even always happen. So I wouldn't worry about it. So yeah, Cooper and Lockett look very similar guys, right?
Yeah.
Boom bust types, look like Cooper a little bit better, but not worried about the weather. Okay, so we're at this one now. The comment was here, just living life. Got Brady, AJ Brown, Sutton, Lazard, Monty, Jacobs, Kmet. On the bench is Paris Campbell, DPJ, Gallup, Swift, and Higbee. Well, you can't start Swift now.
Brady,
would you switch anything?
I'm trying to see. I don't.
I mean, you'd say, well, Kmet with Simeon, but then you got Higbee with what? Bryce Perkins? I wouldn't switch that.
Yeah, the only one I'm thinking about is maybe Lazard and DPJ, but I don't know. I don't think so. that's really your only choice, right? Because Gallup's already played, Swift's already played. I'm not playing Higbee with probably Bryce Perkins. So do I want to play DPJ over Lazard? I don't know. I probably just roll Lazard. I probably just keep it as is.
Yeah.
Or maybe I put Paris Campbell in over Lazard actually.
Over Lazard?
Yeah,
he does have a better matchup.
Lazard, a tough matchup this week.
Yeah, I'd say it comes down to like Lazard, could he get a touchdown? Could he get some targets because they're, passing a lot? That would be the only thing. Lazard or Paris Campbell. I'm probably sticking with Lazard, but it's close. But no, I think you're good pretty much the way you are. And then you got Axe Attack. Doing great. We are doing great.
I haven't been attacked by an axe, so I'm doing pretty well, thank you.
Thankfully, not yet. 8-3 entering the week. Need help. Jeff Wilson or Rachaad White.
Here we go. Look. I mean, I get it's hard to bench either of these guys. My worry with Wilson is that the Dolphins just throw the ball a ton. And they don't Wilson doesn't get a crazy workload, but it's Houston. He probably won't need a crazy workload. So, I'm going with Rachaad White here, but it's super close, and I can see it going either way. Jeff Wilson's in a smash spot too, so I'm going with White because come on, he's been my guy since the draft, and again, I didn't wait 12 weeks just to bench Rachaad White, so I'm going Rachaad White.
Again, if these guys neck and neck, there's not a bad choice here, honestly. No. It might not really make a big difference. They should both smash. I'm giving the slight edge to Rachaad White. Yeah. I looked at my rankings.
That's what I got. Wilson there. I feel like you wanted to say Jeff Wilson.
No, I look. Well, who do I have? Where do I have him ranked? I got White higher. So there you go. And then Austin, RB2. Okay, so 2 RB league. You got Walker. Good. Jeff Wilson or Pierce?
Well, here I'll definitely go Jeff Wilson. I mean, again, it's Houston. He should smash. I don't dislike Pierce. I'm not worried about last week. But at the same time, what's Pierce's ceiling at this point? He's not going to catch passes really. He needs a touchdown. It's not the worst matchup, but it's not the best matchup. I'm going Wilson.
Yeah, I'm going Wilson for sure there. And at the wide receiver 2, Boyd, Waddle, or Olave?
Definitely Waddle. I mean, Waddle's one of those guys, if he plays, you play him.
Pretty much no-brainer there. And then do you flex Pierce or Olave? Probably
Olave. I would flex Olave. Again, I like Pierce, but that's it. I just like Pierce. He'll probably get you double-digit points, but unless he scores, that's probably all you're really getting. So I'll go Olave.
Yeah, agree there. So you go Wilson, go Waddle, and then you can flex Olave. Looks like you're going to have a pretty good squad. If you got Chase coming back, you got Chase and you're going to flex Waddle. I mean, you'll be good.
Yes.
All right. And then Martin, Lawrence or Heineke?
I'm going Heineke. Lawrence just so meh for me. And look, Heineke normally is not even meh for me. He's normally don't even touch him. But it's Atlanta. They're horrible. He runs. He can always run in a touchdown. He's got Terry McLaurin. He's got Curtis Samuel. He's got Dotson back. He's got Gibson out of the backfield. I like Heineke more this week.
Yeah. Really, I think we discussed this earlier. Lawrence, I'm not really going to play Lawrence in a single quarterback league if I really can help it. I'd rather have guys like Jimmy G. And this week, I'll go Heineke because of the matchup.
Yeah, just this week.
This week, yeah. I'm not I'm ever going to have Heineke in a single quarterback league, but obviously you need one of them. All right, now here's a tough one. Tristram wants to know. Eric Dickerson at 84. Rachaad White this week.
I mean, look, 84, I was pretty young, but if that was the year, is that the year Dickerson ran for 2K? You gotta go Dickerson. I mean, come on. Ran for 2,000.
Let's see it from Rachaad first. I mean, I'm not saying it's impossible for him to get there, But
by the way, Eric Dickerson's got to be like one of the 5 most underrated running backs of all time, right?
agree. I mean, the problem was, like, if he would have stayed with the Rams with that offense, man. But then he went to the Colts, and they're like, I mean, it was just that was back when that happened. They were trying to rely on the running back to just carry the entire team.
Yes.
It's like, well, we've seen that, and that happened even later on when the Saints traded like everything to get Ricky Williams, and these guys get just way too much. Who was it? There was Herschel Walker, right? When they traded Herschel Walker, they traded everything for Herschel Walker. The Vikings did because they thought, well, he'll just carry our team to 50 points a game, and it's too much, right? If these players had just stayed in their situations, who knows how good they could have been.
I mean, I'm looking at he had a 1,600-yard season with the Colts. He had a 1,300-yard season. The guy ran for over 13,000 yards, 90 touchdowns, and I feel like nobody ever when they talk about like the best running backs of all time, nobody even mentions them. The guy ran for 2,100 yards.
But that's what I'm saying. It's because he was on like a mediocre team, right? The cultures weren't good. He was on a Super Bowl team. Anyways, all right. We are to J.N. Corteliu. Who do I start this week? 2 receivers, 2 running backs, and a flex and half-point PPR. So a receiver, we got Kirk, DK, Pickens, Campbell is pick 2.
Pretty easily Kirk and DK for me.
Yeah, definitely the first 2 there. All right, 2 running backs, Henry, Kamara, White, or Patterson.
Pretty easily Henry and White for me there.
Very easy too. Now for the flex, Pickens, Campbell, Kamara, or Patterson. How low are we on Alvin Kamara?
I don't think I'm this low on it. I think I still got to go Alvin Kamara in my flex here. Like Pickens in a tough matchup. Campbell, no upside. Patterson might not even have upside, and he's in a tough matchup. So I'll bank on Kamara having an okay game in a tough spot, maybe catching some passes. I'll flex Kamara.
Yeah, agree. I wouldn't put White. I mean, I wouldn't put Kamara below Patterson.
No.
Because Patterson is kind of touchdown or bust, really. So the thing is, Patterson's not catching passes. Kamara at least will catch some passes. You feel like the floor is probably at least as high. So, yeah. All right, there you go. So Kirk, DK, Henry, White, flex Kamara. And then Diego, hola, welcome back. If Fields doesn't play, would you go Jimmy G, Tannehill, Heineke, Ryan?
This is actually close between Heineke and Jimmy G for me. Again, I think I'm going Heineke. I just like that running ability. I like the matchup against Atlanta. They're so bad. Like, just want to stream against Atlanta as much as you can. I'm going Heineke.
Yeah, Tannehill just doesn't do it for me, with this. And it's not a good week for him against Cincy. No. Again, a lot of people going crazy about Garoppolo after last week. That was just that week, right? He never before this season, and maybe never again, will have a 4-touchdown game. So he's fine, but I'll go with the upside to Heineke. I mean, just based on the matchup. And speaking of kind of average quarterbacks you're not excited about, Martin just asked about Heineke or Trevor Lawrence. He says he's waiting on Deshaun Watson. So,
well, the good news is you only have to wait one more week. He'll be back next week.
Yeah, so that's good. And last week you have to worry about streaming quarterback. And then we got Elite Sports HD. All right, full PPR. Would you trade AJ Brown for Juju and Pittman?
No, unless you're in like a deep league, like if you heard us in the beginning talking about our King League, where we have to start 3 wide receivers and 2 flexes, then I would do this, because having Juju and Pittman in a league where you're starting, we have 3 wide receivers, 2 flexes, 2 running, like you're starting, you got 7, I don't know, plus, it's a deep league as far as like you're starting some deep players. I would do this because having that depth is more important than having like one stud and a bunch of scrubs. But if you're in a shallower league, like a 2 wide receiver, 2 running back, 1 flex league, then studs are more important. So to me, it comes down to your league type.
Yeah, it depends on like your roster makeup. So again, I would say if Juju and Pittman are going to be your number 2 and 3 receivers, and you start 3 receivers, meaning you need them both to start on a weekly basis, yeah, you probably should do this. Otherwise, I would probably in a vacuum prefer AJ Brown, but this is pretty close. I mean, you basically quality for quantity. I like Juju and Pittman down the stretch both. I think they're pretty solid. So I think probably you can do this unless one of them is just going to be on your bench, in which case I don't know why you would do it anyways.
Yeah.
Sorry to bring up some bad memories, by the way. Saints fan, not a fan of Mike Ditka. I get that.
Definitely get that. Crazy.
All right, the Penguin Master wants to know: would you go Monty or Latavius Murray if you don't have Josh Jacobs?
Definitely Montgomery. I know Latavius Murray has a better matchup, but Montgomery is going to get. We know he's getting all the touches there. Going to catch passes. Definitely Montgomery.
I like Monty a fair bit this week. Again, Murray's kind of touchdown or bust. So especially if you're in a PPR league, you've got to like Monty better. And then Michael Barton, Dulcich or Logan Thomas?
I might still go Logan Thomas, even though he's questionable and banged up. Like, what are we getting from Dulcich at this point? Like, yeah, I might just roll with Logan Thomas, even if he's banged up, and just hope, he makes it through the game or whatever.
I mean, yeah, if he's playing, I would go Logan Thomas. That's the question. Obviously, he's questionable. Comes down to game time. So keep Logan Thomas in there if he doesn't play. If you say, oh, he's going to be limited or whatever, okay, then swap it out. But it's not like you're going to miss out on a whole bunch of whatever from Greg Dulcich. We got Mike Emdahl, Treylon Burks pickup. Question mark. Okay, my team. Your thoughts? Gino, Justin Jefferson, Keenan Allen, Cooper. Got Mark Andrews, Pollard, Rashad, Pierce, Jamal Williams. So he's asking if he should pick up Treylon Burks, but who would you drop? I don't think you can drop any of those players.
Yeah, no, you don't have anybody to drop for Burks. You just got to leave Burks on the waiver wire. There's nobody for you to drop.
I mean, I'm only seeing 3 receivers. So you don't have anybody else on the bench? If you only have 3 receivers, I mean, yeah, you can need some depth, but you're not going to drop any of those running backs.
No, you don't want to drop any of those running backs. So
if this is a 12-man league, you should probably have a deeper bench.
Yes, definitely.
So, yeah, Mike, let us know if you happen to have any other players on your bench that you could drop. Don't drop any of those guys for Burks. Michael Barton again, Paris Campbell or Pacheco?
I'm going to go Paris Campbell. Like I said, I like the matchup for him. Not liking Pacheco much this week. I'll go Paris Campbell.
It kind of took me off guard how confidently you picked Paris Campbell there.
I mean, it's not that I'm confident, but here's what we know about Paris Campbell with Matt Ryan. We know he'll get a ton of targets. He'll probably catch most of those targets. And he's in a great matchup against the Steelers. Pacheco, we know, is only going to get carries, probably. He's in a tough matchup against the Rams. And when they get near the goal line, either Mahomes runs it in or throws it to Travis Kelce. So, whoa, you know what I mean?
Yeah. It's not a great Pacheco week. Trust me. I'm going Paris Campbell too. And if this is PPR, it's easily Paris Campbell, which I assume it is. And then Michael again. How do you feel about playing Josh Jacobs on Sunday? I mean, right now he's questionable. It is a calf injury, which could be tricky.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of those you're going to have to pay attention tonight, tomorrow, see what they're saying. If it's one of those things where it's like they say, he's fine, he's good, then you just play him. If it's one of those things where they're like, they're going to test it pregame, see how it's feeling, then I'm going to get really nervous. Really nervous.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, again, we talked about this way at the very beginning of the show, which was almost 3 hours ago. With Jacobs, this was a Friday injury and injury designation. He was fine, like nothing during the game last week, nothing during practice until the very end of the week. So you always got to worry because it's a very recent injury. And again, this is a calf for a running back. He's not a guy who's missed a lot of time, but you always have to worry. So we'll see. But let me ask you this, because we were kind of fighting over the scraps of the Raiders' backfield on the waiver wire. Is there anybody that you feel comfortable with, or who's the move there? If, let's say, Jacobs just gets ruled out before Sunday morning, do you go after Zamir White, Amir Abdul, or just avoid this altogether?
I mean, the guy I'm prioritizing is Zamir White, but I could see it going like any way. I did grab Zamir in our King League and another league that we're in together, but I'm probably not going to play him. Maybe I'll play him in the King League because that league's so deep, but like in our Bishop League, I probably won't play him because it's not deep enough. So I'd rather see how he's used, because it's not like Zamir White. This isn't like Rachaad White, Leonard Fournette, where Rachaad White, we're clearly Rachaad White was the number 2, and Rachaad White was slowly getting worked in more. Zamir White's barely touched the ball this year, so we don't even know if Jacobs is out. Is it just going to be like Amir Abdullah and Brandon Bolden as the lead backs with Zamir White sprinkled in? We really don't know.
That's the thing. It's been all Jacobs, and so that you can't feel great about Zamir White, even though he's clearly a talented guy. I don't know if he just doesn't feel like he's ready or what, but it's not going to be him getting 20 carries a game, I don't think. It's going to be just kind of a mix. You could see Brandon Bolden as the lead back, right? He's kind of that crusty veteran that, coaches just like to throw out there, especially he brought him over from New England. McDaniels did, because he trusts him. So it's probably going to be like Amir Abdullah on third downs, Zamir White on some short yardage plays, Brandon Bolden everywhere else. It's probably just going to be kind of an ugly committee. But yeah. All right. Well, we have about 10 minutes left. We're so far caught up on Super Chats. If you do have any urgent questions, start sit for Week 12. This is your last chance. Get them in there. I already mentioned this, but I'll say it one more time. You can join the Discord. It's free. And also you can find information on our jersey giveaway I talked about earlier. Also, you can become a patron, patreon.com. You can see right down there, /fantasyfootballendgame. And you can join us tomorrow morning, every Sunday morning before game day, 2 hours before kickoff. We get together with our patrons, answer all their questions. And, of course, hit like and subscribe if you feel like we've helped you in any way, because that is our goal, to try to help you all win. All right, so let's start off with one very important question. AB has now joined the chat. We're back. 84 Dickerson or LT?
Gotta go LT. What do you have, like 28 touchdowns that year or something? Gotta go LT.
We talked about this a couple of years ago. I feel like before we started this channel, right? Like the best fantasy season of all time. Yes. It was after last season, right? Because Cooper Kupp had one of the best. Like who had the best fantasy season, right? And wasn't it LT was number 1?
Yeah, I think LT had the best fantasy season ever. He had like 28 touchdowns that year. Caught did he catch 100 passes or close to 100 passes? Yeah, it was insane.
Yeah, I think it has to
30 touchdowns. I stand corrected. He had 30 touchdowns. Like if you had LT that year, you won. Like basically that was fantasy football that year. Did you have LT? You won. Did you not have LT? You lost. That was fantasy football that year.
Yeah, everyone's Christian McCaffrey. Yeah, he was just basically a light version of LT when he came along. Okay. Michael Barton has another one. He says he has Etienne and White, 1 and 2. Jacobs would be his flex. So in that case, let me go back so I remember, because he's starting Rachaad White. Very, very nice. Sorry, let me go back, Mike. Okay, so he's asking, how do you feel about playing him at the flex? Well, I wouldn't flex. Well, I guess you're flexing too, because he asked about Paris Campbell or Pacheco. Yeah, if your other options are worse than that, would you put Pacheco over Jacobs? Nah, if Jacobs plays, you just keep Jacobs.
Yeah, if Jacobs plays, I'm playing him over those two guys, even with the risk of his calf.
Yeah. All right. Here's a good question from Massimo 2.0. Metcalf or Pittman? Leaning toward Metcalf. It's tough. I like them both this week.
I like Pittman a little bit more, but I like Metcalf too. It's really close. Again, I just feel like Pittman has such a huge floor in this game. I'm not normally a floor guy, but when the floor is 15 points, because again, I mean, against the Steelers, I could see Pittman catching 8 or 9 passes. And assuming you're in PPR, 8 or 9 passes plus 70 yards is going to be 15, 16 points. So it's just hard for me to bench that. But I get it if you want to play Metcalf. He's probably got more upside.
It's hard for me to bench either of these guys. I'm leaning Metcalf personally, but I can see both. I like them both. I mean, I think Metcalf higher ceiling, Pittman maybe a higher floor, but I'm going Metcalf this week. Okay, what about Chaos Fiend, Debo or Rashad at the flex?
Look, I have this exact decision. As soon as they ruled out Leonard Fournette, Rashad White went in my lineup, but Debo went on my bench. Like,
there you go.
Like again, you know what? Because I keep talking about it, and like, I don't understand why people still treat Debo as like this, stud. He's got this year. He's gone 12, 14, 12, 23, 11, 16, 9, 7, 22. So he's giving you 2 good games. That's it. 2 good games. I mean, I guess 16. Okay, 3 good games. He's giving you 3 good games this year. Every other game has been like just okay or bad. He's not doing what he did last year, even close. And now he's got CMC there. Ayuk's playing like Ayuk should be playing. Kittle's healthy. Just give me Rashad White.
Give me Rashad White too. I mean, I think it's only right. We'll say whatever our last question is, we'll make sure Rashad White's on there.
that should not be hard.
Yeah. A lot of choices. Okay, let's see. Where is it? Daniel was with us last week. Daniel Mustard. Pacheco or Pierce, rest of season. Good points here. Pierce has been fading lately, but Pacheco is a little more one-dimensional. Who do you like just as of right now?
I still got to go Pierce. He doesn't catch a lot of passes, but he could catch some. And he's really their whole offense, right? He's really their whole offense. You don't have to worry about them getting down to the goal line and like Davis Mills or Kyle Allen, throwing like they're not going to call like 3 straight passes at the goal line, right? They're not going to do that. So I got Pierce a little higher.
Yeah, I like Pierce as well. I mean, just opportunity, getting more, Pacheco. The good thing he's in the Chiefs offense. The bad thing is he's in the Chiefs offense.
Yes.
I mean, he's just never going to be a high volume back, and Pierce is. All right, and then Chad Jackson really wants to know about Cooper or Pirine in the flex.
I'm going Cooper. I don't care if they say it's blowing sideways and you can't throw the ball. I'm still going Cooper. Like Pirine against the Titans, like no thanks.
Great about Pirine. I go Cooper for sure. And then I don't think we did this one yet. This is from Tanraj, Hollywood or Lazard.
I'm going Hollywood. I'll risk it with Hollywood. I'm really down on Lazard this week. It's a tough matchup, and yeah, it's not big on Lazard this week. I like Lazard long term, but not this week. I'll just gamble on Hollywood.
Me too. Don't feel a great week from Lazard. If Hollywood is your other option, in this case, again, assuming he's a full go. I mean, he's activated, so of course he's playing. Yeah, I feel like I would go with Hollywood as well. Jonathan wants to know Burks or Campbell.
I'll go Burks here. Give me the upside, the potential. Campbell, I like Campbell, but he doesn't really have a lot of upside. He's more of like a floor play. I'll gamble on Burks. Like I said earlier, the Bengals do give up big plays. They're good against the run. I'll take Burks.
There you go. Go with the upside here. Go with Burks. Like the way he's being used. Looks like he's the number 1 guy there in that offense. So I will go with Burks. And then somebody brought up a good point earlier, even though we say, well, it's not a great matchup against the Bengals, this defense. They don't give up a ton of wide receivers. Kenny Pickett actually put up some points against them. The Steelers did last week. I don't know if that'll carry on necessarily, but yeah, it's not like a shutdown defense. And then Stanley. What's up, Stanley? Coming in at the last minute here. Gerald Everett, Kmet, or Logan Thomas?
Definitely Gerald Everett. He's healthy. He's off the injury report. He's got the best tight end matchup you can have. Go with Gerald Everett.
Yeah, Gerald Everett. Again, tight ends against Arizona just eat. And so Everett, look, not even on the injury report. So he's almost a must start this week. All right. And then Tristram, got our 1 IDP question for the week.
All right.
Would you bench Aaron Donald for Jonathan Allen because of the matchups? I don't think I can bench Aaron Donald.
I don't play IDP, so I mean I probably wouldn't bench Aaron Donald, but I don't play IDP, so I honestly don't know how the scoring works. But I'm guessing I'm not benching Aaron Donald. But I know Jonathan Allen's great too, so
Well, the thing with Allen, he's going against Sam Darnold. That's a good thing. But nah, I gotta stick with Donald. Okay, Mike. Oh, all right. I guess a different question here from Mike Amdahl. 1 receiver, 1 running back, 1 flex. We got Keenan Allen, Cooper, JT, Rachaad White, and Pierce.
I'm going Keenan Allen at wide receiver, JT at running back, Rachaad White at flex.
You still have to go JT, but you can flex White, thankfully. And then, yeah, we're going Allen over Cooper. So there you go. Oh, okay. Stanley says he's been here. He just, I guess that was just his first comment. All right.
He's just hanging out, watching. Nice.
All right. And then let's see. Okay. Nady. Choose 2. Dameon Pierce, Samaje Perine, Josh Palmer, Brandon Cooks. Our first Brandon Cooks question.
I mean, you can't play Brandon Cooks unless you're extremely desperate, and you're not. Perine, more of like a if you need him guy, which you don't. I'm going Palmer and Pierce.
Yeah. Perine, nah, don't get too excited. Pierce is still okay, and I'm going to go Palmer. Agree. Palmer and Pierce, those are your 2 flexes. And then Danny Harrington, the question here is Sutton, Pierce, or Watson?
Oh, so this is the ultimate floor versus ceiling because you have 2 floor guys versus 1 ceiling guy.
I mean, I'm going to scratch Sutton out because I would rather go Pierce over Sutton. Sutton just not interesting enough.
Yeah.
Not this week.
I mean, if it's my team, because I always try to think like in terms of like, okay, it's my team. I'm setting my lineup. Am I really? Because it's easy to sit here and say like play player X when you don't have to deal with the consequences of playing player X. But like I try to think like, okay, if it's my team, and I have to decide, and like I have Dameon Pierce on a team, so I try to think about it, and I have Christian Watson on a team, but I can play them both. But anyways, I think if I could, I would play Watson over Pierce.
Really?
Just like I'm not down on Pierce. I mean, I guess I'm kind of down on Pierce because I said that, but I'm not like it's. But just Pierce, like, what are we expecting from Pierce? Like, what are we really hoping for Pierce? Like a touchdown, right? Like, because he's not going to catch 4 or 5 passes. He's probably not going to run for 150 yards against the Dolphins. Like, I don't know. I mean, Watson's in a tough spot this week, so he could totally he could do nothing. But I just think if I was looking at my team, I'm like, you know what? Give me the upside of Watson.
Yeah, I'm tempted to go Pierce. But again, are you missing out Watson? Who knows? Maybe he does hit on a big play again. Maybe gets a touchdown again. I don't know. If push came to shove, if it was my team, unless I really felt like I needed it, like maybe my opponent had some big games on Thanksgiving and I didn't or something, then I shoot Watson. But I think I might go Pierce, honestly. Okay, and then, all right, so we have Groot in your pants.
I hope it's baby Groot and not full grown Groot, because that would be tough.
All right, so let's go to the question. Pick 2: Godwin, Pittman, Juju. I have Wilson at the flex and Rachaad White benched.
Well, I'm going Pittman and Rachaad White. Like, I can bench Juju this week, and I think I can bench Godwin this week. I know it's a good matchup, but it's Godwin. Like, we've seen it. I mean, he scored a touchdown last game and got you 16 PPR points with a touchdown. He gets you, without a touchdown, he gets you like 12, and that's it. But you get 12. Take your 12 and like it. That's all you get from Chris Godwin. Pittman, I think, like I said, I think he has a really high floor, great matchup here. Definitely playing Jeff Wilson, and like I'm playing Rachaad White over Godwin. I'm going Pittman. I'm picking 2 with Pittman and Rachaad White.
Yeah, I mean, if you're picking 2 like receivers that they have to be receivers to start, I would go Pittman, and then my second choice would be Godwin.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think you'd put Rachaad White over Jeff Wilson. I know it's hard not to play Wilson, but it's hard not to play White. Again, it's it's a tough call. But again, be glad you have both those guys. Again, this is not a bad decision to have. There was people who I know injuries and all this happens, but
who was the guy earlier? Goomba had to pick between like Gio Bernard, Caleb Huntley, and I don't even remember the other guy. Isaiah Spiller, exactly. I think.
I don't even remember.
That's fantasy football is pain. We haven't seen fantasy football is pain tonight, but that is fantasy football is pain for sure.
Yes, sometimes it is. All right, and then maybe our last super chat, Luis Ortiz under the buzzer. Would you drop Mitchell for Rachaad White? Yes.
Yes, because Mitchell, what you're hoping Mitchell becomes is what Rachaad White now is. So take the guy who's already there.
Yeah, Rachaad White, you have to. Like, why is he still out there on your waiver wire? That's the thing. I mean, I guess... I don't know, but because if look, you should have picked him up already, right? I know you've been with us last few weeks. If you've been listening, if Rachaad White is out there, you've got to pick him up. Do it now.
I mean, he's still available in 22% of Yahoo leagues. Like that doesn't make any sense. Like what? Like are there 22% of leagues where nobody's even playing anymore? Like everybody in the league just is like, I'm over it. I quit. I'm over it. I'm not even playing anymore.
I mean, there's definitely players, a lot of like teams that check out after they know they're out of the playoffs, but there's got to be somebody who's still in it that's paying attention that should be picking up Rachaad White. Like maybe even in an 8-team league, you should still be picking up Rachaad White. But anyways, all right, and then no, I'm not going to even answer that. Okay, Okay, yeah, sorry, the spamming is getting annoying. Timeout. Okay. Last couple, we'll do lightning round. Our time is up, guys. We've been on for 3 hours. Last couple. Oh, here's our last super chat.
Thank you. Hope you smash as well.
Quick ones here. Rohan wants to know Godwin or Olave.
I'm going Olave. Again, Godwin is fine, but again, like without the touchdown, it just doesn't give you a whole lot. Olave has more upside. I'm going Olave.
Going Olave also. Shoot for that upside. Randy Barfield, Pacheco or Pierce?
Pierce. Definitely Pierce.
Tough
matchup. Pacheco.
Okay, and then let's do for Larry, Samuel or Paris Campbell. Half point.
I think you got to go Samuel here. Kind of the same guys, but Samuel playing against Atlanta. Like, gotta gamble on him scoring a touchdown. I'm assuming Curtis Samuel, by the way.
Yeah, I assume Curtis Samuel.
I mean, I'm low on Debo, but I'm not Paris Campbell low on Debo. So I'm assuming Curtis Samuel. Too good of a matchup. He can always score a touchdown. Got to go with Curtis.
I'm going Curtis Samuel. Great matchup this week. Raghav, Jimmy G or Kyler Murray?
I still got to go Kyler Murray. He's playing. It's not like a game time decision thing. They already said he's playing. Got to go Kyler Murray.
Yeah, agree. And I'm not a Kyler Murray lover, but yeah, I'll go Kyler Murray. Commanders or Eagles on defense? I think this week, I got to go with the Commies.
I do too. Their defense is looking a lot better, and they have a great matchup. I got to go Washington.
And I don't understand. We have some people questioning whether you should start JT. Look, again, Jeff Wilson in a great spot. You don't sit Jonathan Taylor for him.
No, like, is there somebody else you can sit, like a wide receiver you're flexing or something for Wilson? I can't sit JT.
Someone else was asking JT or Najee, but we're not going to respond to that because he was spamming the chat. And again, Rachaad White or Kenneth Walker?
Look, I love Rachaad White. Rachaad White's going to smash this week, but Kenneth Walker's going to smash even more this week. It should absolutely be Kenneth Walker RB1 week this week.
Definitely. I don't know, Jones. Okay, I guess Aaron Jones, Brian French, Najee or Jones?
I'm going Najee. I just know Jaylen Warren. He's going to get 90% of the snaps. He had 6 targets last week, 4 catches, and that was with Jaylen Warren playing like a quarter and a half. I'm going Najee.
I am too, like Najee, and that's actually a good segue as we wrap things up. Talked about this earlier, doing a giveaway, Najee Harris jersey. It is autographed. It is from Pristine Auction. It is legit. All you have to do is subscribe if you haven't already. I assume you have if you're watching. And join the Discord. Information is down below. Link is in the description. And we have a lot of people who are in the chat here are already in the Discord. It's a lot of fun. You can ask your questions. You get breaking news as soon as it breaks, pretty much. If you set your notifications on for the news channel, you can adjust it. You guys probably know a lot more about the Discord than we do, but we're in there all the time, every day, answering your questions whenever we can. And of course, you get to meet a lot of people from our community. It's an awesome community. It's still growing because of you guys. Thank you so much for watching. We are going to be back tomorrow night with some instant reaction. We go live after the Sunday games, the afternoon games are over, with some start-sit questions for your late night and Monday night matchups, and just to talk about who boomed, who busted, and throw up those dubs and maybe sometimes take some L's. Hopefully not, though. All right, guys, that is it. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. Thank you for watching, of course. We will see you tomorrow, hopefully a lot of you, and again next Saturday for Start Sit. Good luck, everyone, in Week 12.